It's all come down to this. Round 23 of season 2013, and the makeup of the finals won't be known until 5 o'clock this afternoon. Last week, Norwood saw off the Eagles at the Woodville Oval. The only certainty this week is that the Redlegs will get next week off. Norwood will be crowned minor premiers today, while the rest of the pack fight it out for the double chance. Andy Collins might have given his notice at West Adelaide, but he's not finished yet. The blood-stirring win at Alberton last Sunday gives them a real chance at second place today. But their win last week was overshadowed by an outpouring of support to the Magpies at the Alberton Oval. The finals battle also continues today at Norwood and Unley. The Roosters have a mountain to climb against the minor premiers, but third place is well within their reach at the Norwood Oval. And after a surging final quarter at the Elizabeth Oval last weekend, the Bulldogs can also claim the prize today. They're out at the Unley Oval, where the Double Blues aren't about to give anything away. It's the final minor round in the SANFL, and we've got all bases loaded this afternoon, but most of our cameras are at the Richmond Oval for round 23, West Adelaide versus the Eagles.
Into 35 metres, steadied himself, finished.
Well, it all comes down to this big afternoon of football in Prospect this afternoon. Strap yourselves in. We are at the Richmond Oval for this game between West Adelaide and the Eagles. And Chris, I guess James, I should say, is with us this afternoon, and I guess it's all set up straight away for Westies, really.
It sure is. Look, Westies gave himself a chance to rest a number of players going into next week's finals by their win last week against Port Adelaide, and should be a good game. You know, they were up against it with a few players out, but should be a good game.
We mentioned that match against Port Adelaide in round 22 last weekend. It's why Westies have the percentage and the position and should finish with the double chance, barring something very, very unfortunate for them. But last week against Port Adelaide, boy, it was ugly.
Yeah, look, Port Adelaide, by all reports, dominated the game early, up by 21 points at half-time, and were really in control of the game. But, a great effort from Brian Ferguson, Captain Courageous, got them back into the game and gave them the win they desperately needed to try and shore up a top 3 position.
You see some of his efforts at both ends of the ground. We know him more as a defender, but obviously up forward he presented himself as well. Interesting match from this perspective. Here's the statistics. Port Adelaide, 384 possessions by full-time siren to 273 for Westies, and 141 marks to 48, and yet they lost.
Yeah, look, you would never come across stats like that and actually lose the game, I don't think, too many times in football. Port had it all to play for, being their last game at Alberton, as the Magpies are at the moment, and for Westies to get over the line, it was a great effort.
Their skipper James Meiklejohn was the man being chaired off there in a 4-point loss for Port Adelaide, and of course they played their last game yesterday against the Bays. We'll have some highlights of that at quarter time. Let's go to the other match last Sunday that set up this round 23, and that was the Eagles against Norwood at the Woodville Oval. And look, Norwood just keep on keeping on, there's no doubt about that. The Eagles, having lost now, need to win this afternoon to ensure the double chance.
Yeah, look, it was all there for the Eagles last week to try and shore up their top 3 position, but they've come up against the powerhouse of the competition in Norwood and really just weren't good enough to get over the line. I think the Eagles would be smarting from that effort and hopefully produce a better performance today, but Norwood are the best side in the competition and showed it last week.
Yeah, their consistency's been brilliant, and they are at the top of the ladder, as you say. And we know that on their day, the Eagles can beat them. We've seen Centrals perform well against them. Westies obviously perform well, so they can be beaten, Norwood, but not on this form.
No. Look, they've won their last 11 games and are definitely the powerhouse of the competition. Look, they can get beaten on their day, but it's going to take a great effort from the side that does it.
So there you see, 41 points the margin there for Norwood, and that leaves them as the minor premiers, and that was pretty obvious from about a month ago, or even halfway through the season, I guess. So let's have a look at the ladder that's set up this afternoon's interest and Norwood will finish the minor premier, as I said. Then it becomes Westies, the Eagles, North and Central. You need a combination of results, which we'll get to in just a moment. And for Glenelg, they finish bottom with the wooden spoon for the first time since 2002. So here's the games coming up, with Port getting over Glenelg yesterday by 16 points down at the Bay. Really look forward to watching the highlights of that too. Westies taking on the Eagles here. Across at Norwood, it's Norwood against North Adelaide, and then at Unley we have Sturt against Central District. So this afternoon we have cameras at the Norwood Oval and the Unley Oval. At Norwood it'll be Benny Knights joining us, and as we go down the ladder, probably the match at Norwood is the one to watch if the Eagles lose this afternoon, but Jared Cotton's at Unley as well. So let's go to the first on the agenda, and Benny Knights set up for Norwood against North Adelaide at the Norwood Oval.
Thanks, Crossy. Yes, it's great to be here, and good afternoon, everyone. A game that you'd expect Norwood to win, and they've been further strengthened by three key inclusions. Matty Suckling back in, the young James Aish, we know about his talents, and also the power-listed Lewis Stevenson. For North Adelaide, who have come off a very, very poor month, they've lost 4 in a row. They had the bye last week. Perhaps that enables them to regroup a bit today, but they come up against Norwood, a very, very strong lineup. North Adelaide also weakened by the loss of their captain Greg Gorman, and also Matty Wright, who's out and now not qualified for the finals. So they haven't still got Lewis Johnston as well. He'll come back in next week for them, but not able to play today. So North Adelaide really up against it here at Norwood Oval, but there is a double chance on the line for them. After a poor month, they'd be happy, or very, very much hoping, to show something today against Norwood.
Thanks for that, Nida. We'll be in touch during the day. We'll go across the Unley Oval now. So if the Eagles lose and North Adelaide lose, it potentially, Jared, opens the door for Central District.
It certainly does. Good afternoon, guys. It's a big opportunity for Centrals if those results go their way. Obviously still need to win by 40 plus, which is a big ask considering Sturt have won the last 7 out of 8 games here at Unley Oval, so they will rely heavily on their stars today to get them over the line. Last week they showed in the last quarter against Glenelg they definitely can kick goals when they want to, and when they put consistent performance together, they're a dangerous team. So today they're looking for Hardy, Goodrum, Hable again to make the most of their opportunities and put some scoreboard pressure against Sturt. So on the flip side of that, Sturt obviously playing for pride today. Their last home game here at Unley Oval. Ben Kane, 150 games for him. So they do have some things to play for today and show their home crowd that they can have a good result and move into the next season well.
Jared, thanks for that. We'll be in touch throughout the afternoon. So Jared's at the Unley Oval. We've got Benny Knights covering the game at Norwood, and James looking at this match as well. Very interesting day.
Yeah, it sure is. Eagles are going to be right on with Westies dropping a few players. Looks like it's going to be in the Eagles' favour, but stranger things have happened.
Absolutely. Let's go down to Chris Kendall. He's doing the job on the boundary here this afternoon. And James mentioned the Westies lineup looks a little different.
Yeah, look, it certainly does down here, Neil. I guess West Adelaide taking the opportunity to rest a few players along the way. Ferguson, Beach, Schmidt, Webb, they all drop out of the 22 that was named on Thursday night, in addition to a number of the other changes from last week. So Andrew Collins, I guess, trying to keep things fresh, perhaps with a view to next week. And along the way, that's also one of the problems, I suppose, for Andrew Collins. Does his team look towards next week and risk taking their eye off the ball today?
It has been a factor in regards to my own thoughts. And however, the way we've selected the team is that I would hope that I have 21 really hungry players to make their position, guaranteed next week.
Speaking of hungry players, you're looking at a couple of debutants, Dykesman and Fravetto. Tell us a little bit about both of those lads.
Well, Ryan actually won the under-18 medal as a 17-year-old, and he's an exciting sort of midfielder in the making, but we're probably playing predominantly as a small forward today. Where Nick Fravetto's actually got a body for senior football straight away and a beautiful kick of the footy. Just got to learn to work a little bit harder at the speed of senior football, but he's a very exciting prospect, both of them.
West Adelaide, with the luxury of last week's win and a secure chance of their top 3 position, have had the luxury of dropping their captain Ryan Ferguson, big man Daniel Webb, utility Jono Beach, and their key midfielder Chris Schmidt, which are they're all key position players, and the Westies are going to really battle to cover them today.
Chris, that leaves with the summary that it's set up for the Eagles.
Yeah, it certainly is. They've only made the one change from the 22 that was named Thursday. Sam Hindus drops out of the lineup there for the Eagles. And of course, if they win, they go into second spot today. But there's more permutations than we saw with Anthony Green on the election coverage last night. Corey Ogilvie will be our man, being Anthony Green today, working the calculator. For Michael Godden, the problem for him is they've dropped 3 of their last 4 games against West Adelaide. So the key for him is what's he going to try and mix up differently to try and get the winning formula back today?
There's a few things, but I don't know if I'll tell you. But look, we must change things. Yeah, they've beaten us twice easily this year, and obviously in the last couple of years they've been really good. But they have been a good side in that period, and we're probably not to that level. But certainly today we need the win, so it's important that we get things right.
One part of the group is there's a number of hungry young kids that haven't played in a flag. Is that something that's driving that second level through?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the reserves are the same, and our under-18s, we're all very hungry to be successful in all grades. So, look, those kids will step up again today, I have no doubt. And, we were poor last week against Norwood, and we certainly need to respond.
Yeah, the Eagles strengthened. They played pretty poorly last week, but they're strengthened with the inclusions of Luke Powell and also Paul Stewart, who are great players and will be key ins for them this week.
So I look forward to the match this afternoon. The players are ready. I'm sure you're ready at home. And it's welcome for the first time to the new dad, Kim Morgan, this afternoon. His wife Adina giving birth to a daughter, Charlotte. Just, yesterday, Kim?
Thank you, Neil Cross. Yeah, exciting couple of days for me. Big few days for the country with an election, and a big day of Sandford today. 3 games going on and 3 teams competing for one double chance. The Eagles here at Richmond are in the box seat, especially with those changes for the Bloods. They'll start, favourites you feel now, but it's going to be Burst getting the first kick. Went straight up and down, lobbed back in the middle. Rankin had a fly at it. Hall going in really heavy, ends up back with Shane Burst. Big job for him with McCready out of the side and Schmidt today, who'll play in the middle. Went to Bricknell back in the team, and his clearing kick went over the boundary lines. We have a look, Chris Kendall at the Eagles bench.
Goes to Appleton, Von Berdo and Lewis starting down here on the pine for the Eagles.
And Scotty Lewis, been in good form. He'll be injected into the game soon, no doubt. Borholm, it is getting to the front. Challenged by his coach to step up today, Borholm. Now, a free kick paid here. It'll go the Bloods' way, some holding off the footy. And taking it will be Tyson Slattery. Could he be the ace coming into finals? He can go forward and kick goals. He's been playing up the ground. Goes towards Nelson, and a good strong mark. Back in the side today, Nelson, handball to Burst. Third possession for him. No, it won't be his third possession because it's a great run down and chase by Paul Stewart.
Stewart rewarded, although there was some in the crowd who suggested it might have been a little high with the tackle. Finds Jarrett at centre half back, the long kicking left footer. Gee, that's a beautiful kick. Got it all the way to Allmond, who's a left footer as well, centred high with the breeze, floats towards Ainger, 2 against him, Kane at the front, and he snaps for the goal. It was Staple, in fact. So he's done the right thing as the second tall up there, pulled out of the contest, went to the front of the pack and kicked a goal.
Yeah, it's great play by Staple there. He initially blocked his man out for Ainger, but went front and square and with a clinical finish. Hope it's not a sort of things to come. We goal pretty early, but it was a great finish.
So Staple, 2 Bloods flying against Danger. That's the effect he has. And Staple left on his own. Finishes. Kicked 9 in 3 weeks before last week, Staple. No goals against Norwood. But he's been in some pretty good form since coming back into the team. Burst does get his third possession. This time it was just a grubby kick. Rankin, it was low down, tackled immediately by Stewart. As we have a look at the Bloods bench today and some debutants down there.
Yes, certainly are. Only 10 games of experience between the 3 players. Poynton in his 7th game, Schiller in his 3rd, and Favretto the debutant.
Nick Favretto, he's been in good form in the reserves. Now Powell, run down, great tackle, not rewarded, play on. So Kirk, handball to Bricknell. He goes by hand to Hill, both back in the team. Hill, back from a shoulder injury, goes along towards half forward where was Poynton leading in the race. In fact, it was another debutant in Dykesman. He was beaten for it. Now Ellis Yeoman back for Sumner. Sumner kicks along towards centre wing. Raymond was out there, gets a hand. In fact, it's Hall getting a handball from Borholm. Back for Salter. Powell. Ellis Yeoman. They've got players on in the middle here, the Eagles. It's Kane. Now streaming through here is Batley with speed, goes long, Allman in great position, couldn't quite, ground level footy, can Staple rove his second, went back for Allman and the defence was good there. Hartlett could have got a high one. Umpire didn't pay it.
Great.
The point kicked.
It was a great smother by Daniel Kerr there. That's exactly what the Westies will need, being down a few senior players, to say he showed great leadership there and got the great smother on.
So it'll be Hartlett to bring the ball back in. Adam Hartlett, shoulder and knee issues, judging by all the strapping. To himself and immediately to the outer side. Kicks into what breeze there is. Good purchase on the ball. Jarrett. Salter then with a left foot, inside 50 again. Oh, and almost bringing it downwards, Goldsworthy. Handball slipped out to Kerr. Slattery. Wobbly old kick towards the boundary line in the end. Dykesman did well, was pulled down. Umpire calls play on, and he'll call for a throw-in. Just on centre wing. Chris Kane coming off the ground. And Nelson had the better of the ball. And umpire will come in for another ball up.
I reckon the intent's been okay from the Bloods early.
Yeah, look,
James?
the intensity's got to be there, being down so many players. The Eagles are a quality side, as you can see, and right on top early.
Stewart got one high. Borholm took the advantage. Now Ainger crashing the pack, got there late, and he'll be penalised. Just got there a fraction late.
Yeah, I don't know about that free kick. Probably seemed to be umpire bashing, but I think it was all in the contest there.
Certainly Chris Hall thought it was play on advantage. He'd taken the footy, but Thompson got the free kick, so he goes pretty direct. Rankin couldn't take it low down. Salter then had an opportunity, good spoil. Here's a chance, handball to Goldsworthy. He feeds another one, another chance here for the Eagles, and Staple it was. Almost had the dream start for him. He'd kicked an early one, and now he's got a point.
You wonder with the defence of West Adelaide how well organised they'll be this afternoon. There's a high tackle, it'll be a free kick to Shane Burse with so many new players in the side, but you think Andy Collins' structures throughout the club would be such that they'd all know what they're doing. Burse, worm burner, literally, might have taken a few heads of the worms. Now off to Bricknell through the middle. Popped it up maybe for Still. Ball bounces inside 50. Opportunity for Thompson. And he takes his time, eventually gives it to Ellis Yeoman, makes it his problem. Ellis Yeoman was clever to Raymond. Raymond can come to Allman down this wing. That's where the leads come from, and that's where the kick goes. Gafrida was there as well. The ball sails over the back, and eventually it's taken across the line by Favretto. And there's a little punch in there from Allman on Favretto, trying to upset the young man. Favretto shook it off, and the umpire said it's a free kick. So Favretto inside 50 with his kick, sets the ball up high, big pack forms, comes to Still, taken to ground, strong tackle there by Sumner, and the umpire says, I'll have it.
That was clever from young Favretto, boys. He actually initiated that.
Won the free kick, and it's scoring chance for the Bloods, albeit from the pocket. It's going to be Lewis, though, who takes this footy and then gained a few yards and may get a free kick. No. He'll have a throw in. Eagles the opening goal through Lee Staple and the opening 2 points. You just joined us, West Adelaide. 7 changes from last week, so a weaker looking side, but the intent's been okay from them. The Eagles win that stoppage. Appleton was clever, got it through to Raymond in traffic. Then the kick came forward to Ainger. It's his first clean mark in the centre. He goes wide for a leading Staple. His hands were okay low down. The second grab was good. Got it back for Stewart. Brushed off a tackle really well. Ren 10 metres. Kicks inside 50. Powell on his own. And he bisected 3 Bloods beautifully with the kick.
He's always going to be a key in, Paul Stewart. He's a fantastic player. He's a proven performer at AFL level, and has a great bit of play there, setting up his captain, Luke Powell. It was a great kick, and I think we'll go back and finish this off.
4 metres. Got a long way.
He just snuck forward to the contest there, Powell. Used to call that cheating. Now it's called spreading. He's been in good form again. He comes in, the skipper, usually a reliable kick. And the Eagles, who are playing for a double chance, have started just how they would have wanted to start.
Yeah, look, Michael Godden to be really happy with the start of the Eagles today. You can just see there the play. Staples fumbled early, but Paul Stewart was good enough to get out of that tackle and lowered his eyes and hit Luke Powell, who had made some space in forward 50. He finished it off with a great finish, which all captains should do, and they've really got the upper hand here, and Westies better be careful not to let them get it too far away, I think.
Westies were very slow on the counter defence too there, James. Jared Allman was by himself for about 30 seconds in the 50 then.
Yeah, they're definitely running harder at the moment, the Eagles. Westies are going to have to be really careful.
Running with the breeze, though, I suppose. It's what you might look at as the ball bounced again. Von Berto was up too early, but then got the hand pass out in the direction of Lewis, still in dispute, and finally cleared out of there by Bonnie, I think it was, for West Adelaide. Gafrida was first to it at half-back left for the Eagles. Then, interesting kick straight to centre half forward. Angel led up and got the easiest of marks, and then wide for Kane. So Kane can run onto this and send it goalwards, and he didn't hook it back really well at all. And as a result, it's pretty easy kill-off for the punch there from Kirk going across the line for West Adelaide in the right forward pocket for the Eagles.
The Eagles are definitely controlling the corridor at the moment. I'm sure Andy Collins would try and block that up soon.
Umberto got to the front, taking it away fairly comfortably in the end, West Adelaide. They get it down to centre wing, the bounce important here, and again Gafrida comes across and spoils the forward momentum for West Adelaide.
You just really see that the Eagles are trying to use the corridor, come right down the middle. They keep looking inside, and they're definitely cutting open the West Adelaide defence.
Well done by Nelson, wins that from the stoppage. Ends up with the first gamer for Vredo. Logan Hill's kick towards centre wing, got it just beyond that position. Thompson back in the side. And Ellis Yeoman, Crow's teammates. Now Bonnie, did he get legged? Then he'd go the umpire, Gafrida tackled, good tackle. Ball spills free, chance for the Bloods, first real chance. Logan Hill runs to 45, that's a lovely kick. And that's a cruel bounce. Wow, that was through for all money, and it just stopped almost like a beautiful approach shot with a lot of backspin on it.
Yeah, you don't see that happen too often. It was pretty unlucky, that kick. It was a great finish off 2 steps. Thought he was under pressure, and yeah, it's really unlucky. But that's the way it goes with an oval-shaped ball.
He used to speak to Angus Monfries about how to get the bounce. Jared, meanwhile, they've got it all the way to centre wing, the Eagles. So Jared looks down the line. A couple of leads on offer, one of them from Stewart, but he's decided to go to Stewart in the end. And it was well taken. Stewart quick to play on. Straight away turns around, goes long. Hartlett in the front end. Ainger from behind.
It's just what we need, I think, for today, Crossy. It's a great effort from Big Ainge, and he got right up there and took a great grab. That's what we love about this game. Paul Stewart started fantastic. He must be looking for a spot next week, I think, with the power.
Oh, Andrew Ainger up with the Angels with that one. It was all set up for him. You have to admire Hartlett. He sat there, knew what was coming, but he was prepared to take the chance. So Ainger for the third of the afternoon for the Eagles, and he sprayed it for the minor score.
It's amazing how many times after a fantastic mark guys go back and miss an easy set shot.
It's almost criminal, isn't it? So you could see that mark coming, though. He had the step ladder and he used it. So burst here, called to play on. Thompson forces the turnover. Appleton's handball back in board was good. Now Thompson concedes a bit of ground because he had Raymond in all sorts of space. Raymond has had a great season. That's a great kick too. For Stewart, who's having such an impact back in the side today from injury. Now he had to hold his kick, did well though to get the handball to Lewis, who fired a 30-metre handball to Thompson, who kicks inside the 50. Bloods get back. And Tuck, who's been their best player in the second half of the season, releases the kick.
Just a little pause and wait out there for Kerr. And then Kerr goes into some open territory for Bonnie, who made good room to the ball in front of Gafrida. So he looks back into the corridor. Logan Hill running for him. Hill took it and had to go. Appleton with the pressure, still down forward, and 2 grabs and a hold. Whatever you like, he'll go back and have a look at the goal.
It was a great effort from Westies there to transfer the side of play to the outer side, and move the ball on quick. I think that's the way Westies are trying to play to get past the Eagles' defence. But it was a great mark by Michael Steele. I really like the look of this guy. He's good height and moves really well. It's a tough kick though into this breeze, I think, but encouraging signs for Westies.
Andy Collins likes the look of him as well. They're looking for a key forward going into the finals. He's been given his opportunity, and from that far out, he's kicked the goal. Difficult angle for a right footer, but straight over the umpire's hat, and the Westies have their first of the afternoon. Let's go out to Norwood. We're going to check the score out there with Benny Knights.
G'day, Crossy. Yes, very close out here. It's 1 goal 6 Norwood, 1 goal 1 North Adelaide. So Norwood by 5 points. They've had 7 scoring shots to North's 2. They are kicking with a slight breeze to the southern end of the ground, but a little bit wasteful so far, Norwood.
So that, Ben?
So with that goal, well, it keeps things interesting here. North will be the next to get a crack at the double chance only if the Eagles were to lose today. Free kick here from the middle will go the Bloods' way, and Moran was interfered with, so he'll take it. He goes for Tuck and spreading his burst, who's had a good start first, called him a lot, goes inboard for Bricknell, loves running and bombing it inside the 50, still set up, couldn't quite, just didn't have anyone to leap off. Ended up with Sumner, handball back into dispute, Poyton low down, got a handball wide, Bloods will come back outside the 50 where Bricknell will send it back from once it came, touch, you heard the umpire call, chucks for Poyton, steadies himself, and the Bloods are in this game now. Dean Poyton gets their second in a minute, and he's playing some pretty good footy.
It's a great finish there by the young fella. It's his first goal in SAFL football. Scott Bricknell is a huge in for the Westies. They need him playing well come September, and as you can see, the young fella's just laid the ball across his body and kicked a fantastic goal. It's amazing the importance of kicking straight. Westies have been completely outplayed, but they're right up there with the Eagles right now.
Well, as we said at the start, they were beaten last week by Port virtually, but they ended up winning that game and won it ugly. It hasn't quite been that ugly this afternoon thus far, but certainly an indication of what Westies can do. Moran, I think, had best hand of that ball firstly. Powell the ground as he does. He's still holding onto the ball, and the umpire says he'll have it. Quick trip out to Unley and Jared Cotton. What's the score out there? It's a bit of a problem, obviously, with the audio from Unley, but as you can see, things are tight and tough. So, yes, I can hear you now, Jared. We've just got up the score, so Sturt by 18 points, a good start.
Really well in the first quarter here, so it's 4 goal 2 to 1 goal 2. Matty Yench has kicked 2 goals already, and obviously Central's on the back foot early.
Thanks for that, Jared. I think it's further indication, and James, you could probably help us out with this, about how Centrals do struggle on a smaller ground.
Yeah, they're not used to it, Neil. I know I never like going out to Unley, but it's more of a mindset thing, I think, these days with the doggies.
So this is Heath taking his time again for the Eagles. Called to play on, eventually deciding to go his non-preferred down the line, and bursts intercepts for West Adelaide. So for a young outfit, an inexperienced outfit, West Adelaide putting on the park this afternoon, they've come back pretty well after the Eagles threw all the early blows. Burst called to play on. Down the line he goes. Back forms. Favretto took a nice mark, or rather, apologies, wasn't Favretto. It was Keogh in the end. So Keogh's called to play on. He drops it high to the top of 50. And Dykesman. And then Bonnie. And he sends it long and still is in position A, and he can't take it. Ellis Yeoman worried him out of it, still comes again, makes the tackle. Raymond, though, gets the rebound, and the Eagles will get a little bit of relief eventually. They work it out to Thompson, who belts it out of there, and he should have turned it over. But again, Stewart's been so prominent for the Eagles, and he's prominent again.
He burst through the middle, Stewart, and lead offered here by Ormond. He had 10 metres on Daniel Kerr. Now one out up the ground, he had an option, but he elected to hold the footy up, goes back inboard, misses 2 targets. One of those was Campbell Heath, who went in and laid a good tackle on Thompson, so he holds it in the area.
You can see Westies have dropped all their numbers back after that early onslaught by the Eagles and have really tightened up. It's been a great effort from the young side.
Moran in the ruck today. Him and Nelson both in the side today. Now this handball's gone back towards the Eagle goal dangerously. Ormond's handball was good. Batley had player on short in Hall. Doesn't matter because he's kicked the footy beautifully. That just caught the wind and sailed through almost goalpost high. And Batley, who is a former state sprinter, gives him a bit of run and he can finish pretty well.
It was a great finish from a young kid. One step again, didn't have any time to steady and bang it through from 40 metres. Come back on the breeze, a great finish. Exactly what the Eagles needed. It's a great finish. They need him using his run, the Eagles. I think that is exactly what they're crying out for, a bit of pace.
Just reckon the last 7 to 8 minutes too, James, the Eagles have dropped their intensity a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt, Chris. They started really well. Mickey Godden would have been happy with that, but they've let Westies back into the game for sure.
Moran with a deft touch, just couldn't get it to his own player. Appleton off to Lewis, and the Eagles go inside 50. Hartlett got rid of his man, but here they come again, and Staples missed, running into open goal, 30 metres out, and they have crucified some opportunities thus far.
No doubt, Crossy. Definitely should have finished that one off. Could have been a completely different start for the Eagles if they had a kick straight.
Staples missed 2. Now, Hartlett went to himself, then to Homburg, who will clear the defensive 50, but it'll come back. That breeze tricky, and an ordinary shank by Homburg, so Lewis takes it. Goes inboard, Bohol marks. Now, Ellis Yeoman's usually a beautiful kick. That's not beautiful. And Homburg will get another chance as he's kicking this time. Kerr gets it short, back pocket. Daniel Kerr, who's had a good month of form after just having a flat middle patch of the season. Such a good player. Top 3 in their best and fairest 3 years in a row. Ellis Yeoman won this one opposed to Keogh. Gets it for Lewis. Beautiful centering kick. So Campbell Heath, usually a good guy to have it. Will it get over the back for Goldsworthy? Just getting a hand in there in a timely fashion was Thompson. Now Schiller. Now Tuck, the kick just missed him, Tuck. And Tuck in the end did okay just to hold it up and force a stoppage.
I don't know if that wind's picked up down there, Chris, or what, but it looks like the skills are a bit harder for Westies.
It has picked up a bit, James. It is going towards the southern end and blowing into the stand.
So chance here, and Kane. Ordinary finish in the end, you got to say, and it's going to come out, and Slattery will take a mark on 50.
Just holds it up, kicking into that breeze. Wobbles the ball down towards Keogh there. Punch came from him, although he was the attacker in that situation. Hall with the rove. The hand pass finds Kane. Kane inside 50, keeps it low and hard, looking for Angel. And they're in danger again. West Adelaide as Andrew Angel leads up and takes the mark 35 out.
They just got caught out there, the Bloods, with the ball getting turned over on the wing. Plenty of space for Andrew Angel to lead into. He's a key forward and be lapping this up all day. He's a good kick for goal, but we've seen the skills, so
only as good as your last kick, which wasn't great.
It's a mystery how it's going to go.
Hit vertigo though.
41 for the season. Make that 42.
Yeah, great finish. Exactly what the Eagles needed. Looks like the wind's picked up a little bit out here, and Westies have done a good effort to be kicking into it and only be 2 goals down, especially at the start. But you can see the experience from Paul Stewart. He's dominating this game early, and he's dragging on guys like Chris Kane and that to play well as well.
So Angel only needs another 11 boys to win the Ken Farmer.
It'd be a great effort.
Have to get a run on, that's for sure. Michael Wunke with 52. Angel goes to 42. So 10 to tie. Not much interest in that race just yet. Lewis wins this. Batley kicked that good goal earlier. He's under pressure as he kicks this and turns it over for Homburg. Might get an estimation of the worth of this breeze from Chris Kendall in a moment as this ball goes inboard for Vretto. Took that low down, good slips take.
Worth 2 to 3, I would say, Kim.
Thanks, Chris. So at the moment they're on about what the breeze is worth, that 15-point advantage. The Eagles, Sumner went back just beautifully, glided across the pack, a bit Royce Hart-esque, except he's at the wrong end of the ground.
Half his size too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, but he is a left footer.
Apparently Royce Hart was about Travis Tuck's size.
Is that right?
Footballers have grown over the years. Now let's have a look at the perils of the interchange gate here and see what happens. Welcome to league footy. Just as you're coming off the ground, Ryan Dykesman.
Yeah, good on Caney. Young quick blokes, just get into them.
So now there's a whistle here, and it'll be Schiller to take a free kick on centre wing.
So he takes his time, and Crowd ahead of him, and he goes right into the heart of it. Borholm comes to the front, was pushed slightly to the umpire. It's play on advantage. Jared's away for the Eagles. He bombs it long. Staple or Almond. It's the latter that goes for it. It falls over the back. Kerr. Just a little sloppy initially, but then he got it off to Hartlett. His left foot kick was effective, even though it bounced to Homburg, whose hand pass was pretty severe. He did pretty well, Slattery, then got it away towards under pressure. And then Tuck finally ended up with it and kicked it down to half forward. Doing pretty well, Raymond. Good experience, pushed away from the tackler. And then a beautiful pass. And that'll be 25 as well. Yes, the umpire said that Batley wasn't left alone after taking the mark. It'll be another 25 if they're not careful, West Adelaide. In fact, I'm sure it will be, or should be. Now Batley with the free kick. Late in the opening quarter, goes wide for Goldsworthy. Goldsworthy goes short inside 50. Ball knocked away by Westies. They'll get an opportunity to clear from their defensive zone. They hold it up. And then down on centre wing, and just coming off the bench and taking the mark was Heath. And Heath took it away for the Eagles into half forward. Good kick finds Goldsworthy, peels off to his left foot and then decides against it. So he holds it up and waits. He might even be able to carry the distance. He is 10s. Instead, I should say, just finds Borholm loose 40 from goal. How did that happen?
It was great eyes by Goldsworthy there. He's a skilled player and he's got great vision. Westie's just relaxed a little bit and Big Borholm got in the hole.
So the former Westies player who played 10 games for the Bloods before going down to Oval Avenue. Late in the quarter, 25 gone. He'll have the opportunity just to stretch the lead for his side. Oh, that's a powerful kick. He could have kicked that from 70 out and made the distance.
Yeah, it was a great finish. It was the value of a guy with vision. Matthew Goldsworthy lowered his eyes to find the big fella standing in a hole there. Eagles have been really great starting the game and sort of let Westies back into it, but it's definitely something that the Eagles needed, that goal late in the quarter to hammer home their advantage, and big fella went back and slotted it with ease.
So the Gowans brothers do that to good effect over the years, around 60 out, spot up the short target.
Yeah, when you can't kick 35, mate, you got to do it.
And Borholm finished beautifully, and they've now got their value and some out of this breeze, the Eagles. They're leading by 21 points. Stewart wants more, and he went wide to Von Berto, who's playing a different role today. Last week he was on Ben Warren in defence, did okay for a lot of that game. Now Stewart was the target again, but going back, Burst in trouble in the back. Pretty tough on the tackler, I reckon, that one. Ormond.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That was stiff there. Stiff decision.
See the replay.
It's just part of the game, isn't it, Kimbo? That?
And Burst just collapsed the knees, as they do. So Keogh, well done. Just paved a path for Tuck, who ran 15 metres, Travis Tuck, and the siren beats him. So quarter time here at Richmond, and it's the visitors who want a double chance, and they're 5-4-34, the Eagles. Westies are 2-1-13.
So the double chance on the line, a promising start by the Eagles. There's no doubt about that. It was pretty good. And let's have a look at Glenelg and Port yesterday, which was the start of round 23. And for the Tigers, well, they were going to finish bottom. But for Port Adelaide, it was a much more important game. And as it turned out, that's the way that shaped the game.
Yeah, it sure was. Look, Magpies had it all to play for. It's the last game for the Magpies in their current structure, and it meant a lot to the Port Adelaide Football Club, I think, to go out there and beat one of their arch enemies throughout the years on their home deck down there at the Bay. But Port Magpies not going to be the same. I think it's a little bit of a shame for the SANFL, but the Magpies did it tough and got over the line in the end with a great win.
This man here, Josh Thurgood, he'll be unlucky not to get to 100. That's his 99th game for the Magpies. And, of course, as we know, almost certainly the Magpies in their current entity will be no more after this game yesterday. So Josh Thurgood will finish on 99 games. The captain, James Meiklejohn, who kicked their last goal of the afternoon, we'll see that in just a moment. He has played 165 games, and that was his last game for the club, his 35th goal coming up. And again, as I said, we'll see it in just a moment. For the Tigers, well, they be disappointed. Is that Meiklejohn goal? The Tigers will be disappointed because they finished bottom of the ladder for the first time in 2002, but they had a significant 20-point advantage at half-time and a 7-point advantage at three-quarter time, and that is the end of the Magpies as we know them.
Yeah, it's a great shame. Look, I used to love playing Port Adelaide with all their support. Hopefully it doesn't change too much throughout the years. Hopefully the fans stick by them.
Just a reminder, if you go to our Twitter handle there at ABC SANFL, there'll be a link to our YouTube channel, ABC State Footy. So youtube.com/ABC State Footy. We will have extended highlights of that Magpies win over the Tigers on our YouTube channel. Right. Other match this afternoon that's interesting over at the Norwood Oval, Norwood against North Adelaide. Benny Knights with a summary of the opening quarter.
Well, thanks, Crossy. It's been a really tight physical contest so far. Norwood jumped out pretty quickly, but they kicked 4 points to start that quarter out. A little bit wasteful, and then North Adelaide kicked the first goal of the game through Lee Riswick, who's been very dangerous up forward. Norwood did answer after that. They kicked 2 goals, one to James Aish and one to Simon Phillips after a 25-metre penalty. The third of those that North Adelaide have given away. So trying to be very physical, North Adelaide, but perhaps lacking a little bit of discipline to go with that. Both sides pretty defensive so far. They're both playing a spare man in defence. It's a really tight tussle. Lots of really good one-on-one contests across the ground as well. But at the moment, after Norwood having 9 scoring shots to North Adelaide's 4, 10 points up at quarter time, they were kicking with a slight breeze, maybe a 1.5 goal advantage to Norwood. So North Adelaide kicking with that in the second quarter. Back to you, boys.
Thanks for that, Nida, as we just watched the last of the highlights of that opening quarter. But as Nida said, 9 scoring shots for Norwood, 2 goals, 7 was their reward. So just 10 points in that match. Remember, the Eagles lose today. The Roosters have, if you like, the first opportunity to snatch the double chance. And then if the Roosters lose, well, it's all on at Unley Oval, and that's where Jared Cotton's going to join us. And Jared, the first quarter there, as you halfway through the quarter, it was dominated by Sturt. How did it finish?
Pretty much the same way, to be honest. Centrals did settle for about 5 or 6 minute period and put a few goals on the board, but at quarter time it's 7 goals 4 to 3 goals 4 in favour of Sturt, and they really did dominate the quarter. Their midfield was excellent. Matty Yentz was just roaming around the ground getting kicks at will, and their dangerous forwards, Vilkanis and Doldig as well, chipped in and kicked some goals too. So for them, an excellent start to the game. Centrals, on the other hand, really slow, looked lethargic early, didn't look like they were in the game at all. But like I said, halfway through the term, Boyd, Symes, Goodrum started to get their hands on the football and started to put some goals on the board. But a young fella for his first game, Matthew Stent, I think he is. James might know more about him than myself, but with his first kick, he kicked the goal today. So congratulations to him. But overall, a fantastic start by Sturt, and really hard for Central to get back and get a 40-plus win here, I would have thought.
You get the feeling, though, Jared, though, that they're capable of it, Centrals, because it's certainly a high-scoring opening quarter, not what we'd really expect.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, it was just an up-and-down sort of game, really. I mean, like I said, Sturt did dominate the quarter early, and then Centrals came back into it. But really, their midfield dominated the game, and they look the much better team at the moment.
All right, thanks for that, Jared. We'll check in later. 7 goals, 4 on the board for Sturt. 11 scoring shots in the opening quarter to 7 from Central District. So, yeah, big lead, 24 points at quarter time, but a high-scoring game there at Unley. Let's come back to our game here. We'll go down to Chris Kendall. And Chris, you've been listening into the Eagles.
Mick had gotten very happy with their tackling pressure more than anything else. He has identified that West Adelaide are not playing a loose man in defence today, so he says to be very careful to make sure that everyone has a man there along the way. Keep their spread going nice and wide there. Try to catch West Adelaide on the counter-attack, but otherwise pretty happy with that start.
Thanks for that, Chris. As we just look at the ladder as it shapes up, so here's the ramifications. Eagles win, we know they will go to 26 points, and with Westie's percentage, that will mean these two sides will play each other next week. But if they lose, well, it's on for North and Central. Let's go down to Chris again, talking with Andy Collins.
In a situation like this, Andy, you look for the kids to stand up, but I think some of your experienced players have been really good so far also.
Yeah, look, we've had some good ball movement. They've got us a couple of times on transition. You know, they've had some real post-to-post sort of play. So they're getting out the back of us, which is a bit of a concern. We'd like our pressure to be a little bit more effective as well.
You're keeping the game nice and open, and there has been criticism over the years, unjustified sometimes, about Westie's defensive style, but you are playing a man-on-man style today.
Yeah, it's interesting, the way the game's unfolded. Maybe the heat's already getting to the players.
Thanks, Colo.
Big afternoon of SANFL footy. We're only one quarter down. Here's Kim Morgan with a second.
So here we go. I wouldn't put a line through any of the three teams in this race for the double chance yet. Westies to kick with the breeze here, and it's gusting up a little bit. At least 2 to 3 goals. And an open game of footy here too, as we see a stoppage in the middle. Westies were accustomed to them playing at least one extra down back or one drop off down back. They're not doing that today. Powell, Kane, Sumner to the 50. Goldsworthy gets over his head. The fist from Bricknell was timely. Another throw in. So effectively, if the Westies were to win today and North Adelaide lost out at the parade, the Dogs would have to turn around about 7 goals worth of percentage on the Eagles. Borholm wins this. Ball to the hot spot, and making it his own down there was Kirk. That was a good set of hands.
Good chop out mark there by the young fella.
First season of league footy, played a handful of games. He goes up the wing. Stewart, a rare mistake today. Back into some dispute. Didn't see much of this in the first term. It was pretty open. Now Tuck, the clearance king, went back to Nelson as he was tackled. Powell and Hill both went hard at it. Footy belted into the middle. Now big disputed footy to be won here. Heath was clean bowled, but he had back up through Raymond, who gave it to Sumner. He got round one tackler. Goes for Batley, who's quick. He's got the spread of Stewart next to him, and he had players up the field, and he was composed to Goldsworthy.
Using the ball well, the Eagles going forward. They're lowering their eyes and hitting up that free target. It's great team football going in, especially into finals.
So the Premier, just about the Premier small forward in the comp. 34 goals this year. Had an outstanding season, probably his best. He comes in on that trusty left and he tries to get the breeze working for him. Brilliant. What a kick.
Great finish by Matthew Goldsworthy. Superiorly skilled. Great left foot. It's a tough kick into that breeze, as we've seen from the first quarter with Westies going forward. But you can see Paul Stewart, who's had knocked up getting touches, been best player on the ground so far, and hit a nice little kick to Matty Goldsworthy. But it's a great finish from our nearly 50 into that breeze.
Not many players in the comp could have kicked that one.
No, you're not wrong, Kimbo. It's a great finish, and that's his value to the Eagles. He's got great skills.
So now the questions really start to get asked of the Eagles. 27 points now the margin. Burse. And the clearance goes sideways to Heath, who's now on his natural foot, and he goes down to half forward. Pretty good, just into a bit of space. Falls now for Goldsworthy, a receive from Allman, and then Goldsworthy, bullet-like pass that floated through the air to the chest of Hall. So Hall gets up and waits. Ainge is in the goal scorer a bit in front of there. He leads out, and Hall decides just to go over the top. He hasn't picked out a bad man in pretty good form in Paul Stewart. So the ball in his hands, umpire sets the mark, and then he goes short, and umpire said no way, that was 15. Stewart, that was just 15.
I don't think that one was any further than the other one, Crossy.
Hall drops it over the top, the lead comes, Staple providing it, he goes to ground easily, now he's surrounded, he comes out to Bricknell. Bricknell tries to clear, a bounce here over the line will suit Westies, and that's what he gets.
There's real effort from the Eagles to find that short spot up pass, isn't there?
Yeah, look, they've got to do it. West Adelaide big on that zone defence, and they help each other out. You've really got to lower your eyes and hit that free target.
So Westies with the breeze. Don't want to give up 2 in a row early. It's Powell who dribbles it. Goldsworthy, Kirk tackled. Now Bricknell, uncertainty, goes to Tuck. They've got numbers. Could run through the corridor, but they'll go around the outside, and the kick over Moran's head. Came from Kerr, so we'll have a stoppage.
You can see how Westies are trying to play. They're trying to pack all their numbers back and get the Eagles on the counter-attack. A la Sydney do and Port Adelaide. It's a modern way of football. It's a taxing way to play, but they've done it with aplomb this year.
Just saw Bricknell there with the trainers. He's missed 3 or 4 with a hammy, so back through the reserves last week, I think. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now this kick just over the head of Appleton. Staple, Kane, Ren 15, Ainger. In fact, it was Goldsworthy, but Bricknell hammy must be okay because he chipped in and took the mark before Appleton came in and forced the stoppage.
You can see why Andrew Collins really rates Scotty Bricknell. He's a rock down there for West Adelaide. He's been a main part of their defence for the best part of 5 years now, and doesn't get beaten too often in one-on-one contests.
Playing Matty Goldsworthy at the moment too.
Nelson, umpire said that was a throw.
Yeah.
Just too much palm and the palm down.
It's basically a throw down there.
Basketball style.
He actually got it right.
He played a lot of basketball. So.
Yeah, did he?
Yeah.
That's where he came from originally. So Borholm with the free kick. We saw before the powerful leg of Mark Borholm. So it'll be very interesting what the accuracy's like. Tricky breeze blowing from left to right, so he's have to start it on the left goal post, you'd think. Judging by the last kick, distance will not be a worry. Borholm, again powerful, sliding away, and in fact distance was a worry in the end. Umpire calling play on, eventually rushed through for the minor score by Westies.
Yeah, she's a strong breeze out there and would have taken a fantastic kick. He just got off the side there.
So Hartlett to himself. He had 17 rebound 50s last week. And this kick spoiled over the boundary line. Must be just about a record, but a bit skewed because he did a lot of what we saw there. Chip to himself, then the big bomb out.
Yeah.
Throw in. So Westies just haven't got enough of the footy in this term with the breeze to make any use of it. Burst tries to get in and win this. There was Moran's back dived on there. The umpire said no. And we'll have another throw up. 28 points, so a dangerous margin at the moment. They do have plenty of time with the breeze, the Bloods, but they've got to get their run going. Tuck tried to release Moran. He gave it to Logan Hill, who was pressured as he kicked. Will this lob in? No, it won't. So free kick to Gafrida, right in front of the players' race.
Back here.
Lots of action in the interchange area too. Now after all that, the umpires reset the mark.
Back.
And eventually Gafrida will take it. Now he's outside the boundary as he's got to start from. And decides to go down the line. Nothing much on offer for him, so he just has to set it high. And Moran comes across the front of the pack and takes the mark. So he's got the spread on, but oh gee, it wasn't a great kick. Asked a lot, but they got away with it through Bricknell, and then Bricknell runs into Hall. And then Ainger turns it over as well. And then Bricknell takes it towards the boundary line and will start again. There's an ugly bit of play you'd want not to think of when you look at the replay.
Yeah, comedy of errors there. Good pressure from the Eagles to hold Westies up. But yeah, Brad Moran's only coming to the side this week. He's a bit rusty there with his kick.
Well, Von Berto probably had the better of that. And then Powell at the bottom of the pack got it out. Salter, Heath, and then he's lost it. Now opportunity for Keogh, and he goes to Tuck, who pushed off the tackle of Powell, and then he slipped as he kicked, but Moran gathered it pretty well. His hand pass was dangerous. Kirk brought it down, and now Gafrida, and they're on the ground. They finally get away with it, Westies. Boy, there was a lot of work involved there, but Keogh's kick goes down to half forward, and it's out of bounds again. And that breeze, undoubtedly, James, having an effect, everything coming our way.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely strengthened in this second quarter, halfway through that first quarter. Westie's just a bit of inexperience, I think. They're just panicking when they get the ball. They've just got to settle down a little bit and they'll be fine.
Moran's ruck work was great there. Now Tuck, long ball, can still affect this contest. Nelson was there too. He can affect it still. He didn't take the mark, but he waited down and kicks the goal, his second. And he's been in some good form, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I said before, he's a great-looking type of player. He's Michael Steele. look, Travis Tuck put the Eagles defence under pressure and, a long ball in. Peter Nelson did enough to cause a contest with Steele running onto it. Look, that's all the Westies can do, I think. Just keep pumping it forward and hopefully get numbers front and square.
One area they need to concentrate on, boys, is the interchange. Twice in the space of 60 seconds, they had 17 on the field through a losing count down here.
One of the problems if you run a turnstile system, I suppose, down there. Out of the middle, they get an opportunity again. Well, eventually, they've just got to make a decision. Bricknell finally gets it in his hands, and he goes long with the kick. Umpire might call that over the shoulder, and he did, much to the joy of the Westies fans. Keogh takes the free kick. He's at right half forward.
Thank you.
Keogh.
You're staring.
Well, he kept it low and belted it in. Oh, the pack spread apart by Still, who came late on Raymond, who wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, great contest from Still there. That's what you want your key forwards doing, crashing into the packs. I'm sure that old Phil Raymond will think twice about standing there next time.
Borholm, unlikely outlet for the kick, and that's why. Gee, that ball floated. He gets over the back. Kerr in the race with Allman, who tried to make contact. Kerr pushed off. Now he's got possession. Good awareness back to Thompson, and excellent from Allman.
There's a fantastic smother by the experienced Jared Allman. I think they call him Peanut. I don't know why, but it's his nickname. Great smother.
One from Two Wells. Back into play. And it'll go over the line, and we'll, as you were, another throw-in coming at left half forward for the Eagles.
James the Stand went nuts down there at that smother.
As they should have. Great effort. Funny man.
Ball thrown in. So the Bloods with the last. Can they string a few together and get some run going with this breeze? Batley underground. The skipper Powell ran out. Now they spread away and Salter was left with plenty of space. He's a dangerous player. He wants Ainger. Oh, good spoil. Just had enough of it, so Ainger can go back.
Again, you could see Nick Salter could have bombed long then, but looked to the space, lowered his eyes and saw Andrew Ainger running into that hole. It's a good kick, and I thought it was a mark, actually. But
he stopped it, didn't he? He stopped the ball dead.
He did. It's going to be a tough kick right into the teeth of the breeze.
So Ainger to come in. We're going to get a score from the parade in a moment. He's kicked one. He's taken an absolute hanger of a mark, and he's kicked beautifully into the breeze. That was a powerful kick. And we'll go to Norwood now, but the Eagles are going to make it tough for all comers the way they're going. And Ben Knights is out there.
Thanks, Kim, over here at Norwood Oval. It's Norwood by 2 points. They've just kicked a goal through Matt Fuller, the first score for Norwood for this quarter. North Adelaide have kicked 2 early goals. Jay Shannon and Max String. They've looked really good in this first quarter, or the second quarter, sorry. But Norwood by 2 points at the parade.
Thanks for that, Nida. So Norwood in a little bit of trouble. North Adelaide doing what they can in order to snatch a double chance, but right at the moment the Eagles doing everything they can to ensure that that's not up for grabs. What an afternoon of SANFL football. Out of the middle, Kane with a throw. The umpire said play on. Burst dives in after making the tackle initially, and finally the umpire says I'll have it. Well, I've got some sympathy. The umpire said he didn't have prior opportunity. I don't think that's got anything to do with it if you throw the ball, but I did have some sympathy for Kane because he sort of lost control rather than threw it. Here's Raymond. He had good control. Down to half forward with a kick. Umpire called that as play on advantage, and Powell inside 50. Well, he almost hit up the leading player, and that was Stewart, who's been so prominent. Lewis with a clever kick, and then Allman finishes it off.
Great team goal by the Eagles then. I thought that Paul Stewart may have missed that handball when he gave it to Paul. Who did he give it to? Running in. Scotty Lewis gave it in, but it was a great finish. Lucks of fortune. They've got plenty of pressure pushing forward, the Eagles, and you could have raffled that then. It was a good finish by Jared Allman, or the Peanut in front.
6 of the last 7 now. Danger signs for the Bloods.
I've worked it out. Almond is almost almond.
Yeah, that's it. I knew
so we'll call him Peanut.
It took me a while. Because they're totally different nuts, you know that, don't you?
Nicknames, eh? Who would know?
They call Chris Kane Sugar too, boys.
Oh, that one I can get. That's easy.
Now, hang on, where's the link? Ball up. Here he is. Sugarcane. He was dispossessed by Tuck, who had a player free. That was Schiller, and he used him well. So Schiller could have gone there, but didn't have much on up the field. Ground level footy, Logan Hill. Now Still is down there. Big fly from behind Nelson. Ground level footy. The Eagles have numbers. So Goldsworthy, he's never in a rush when he gets the footy. Gives it to Thompson. Back pocket chip kick good and Hallmarks. Been in good goal kicking form this year, Hall, but this time he's forward of, rather back of the plate. Now Kane cleared a path and Stewart will end up with his footy. Has one bounce, got it from Vomberto, who's run with him here. Stewart, 2 bounces. Will he draw the man to Vomberto? He does now. He can bomb it inside the 50 or he can go short for Ranger. And he does the latter.
Yeah, it's great ball movement by the Eagles there on the outer wing.
50 metres.
So we've got a 50 metre. There we go.
Hang on, Ken Farmer race, boys. Holding up.
Oh, the way the ball's coming in, look, the poor old Westies defenders haven't got much hope here. Eagles are dominating through the midfield and given Andrew Ainger and Staple perfect looks at it.
So Andrew Ainger will kick his third. He needs 8 more to tie Michael Wunke in the Ken Farmer. And the Eagles are doing it really, really well at the moment. They've blown this margin out to 40 points. And let's go to Unley Oval for a look at Sturt v Central with Jared Cotton.
And Central started the quarter really well in this second quarter and kicked the first 2, but Sturt have now settled and it's an 18-point margin to Sturt. Panozzo kicking the last goal for them and just setting the tide. But as you see, Central's definitely got back into the quarter early. Hardy kicking a nice goal and also Ryan Williams kicking a goal for Centrals as well. But Sturt are now steadying and moving on well.
Thanks for that, Jared. As you can see, Sturt moving the ball fairly well from the back line through Matthew Doldig, who, correct me if I'm wrong, is supposed to be at full forward. Anyway, so Sturt doing well at Unley. It looks like, though, at this stage, we're going to see a Centrals v North elimination final next week. Centrals will miss the top 3 for the first time since 1999. Eagles building again through Jarrett. Long he goes. Salter in position A. Couldn't take it. Well done. Bricknell comes from behind. Now Thompson. Got it from Favetto. Non-preferred foot. Thompson there with the left. Well done by Schiller. Drew in the man and then a high tackle. Rankin was taken high. Batley came at the speed of the wind. So Rankin now with the free kick. Now Bricknell making some space on this side of the ground, but it's a long kick and a dangerous kick, you'd think, and he thought twice about it and decided against it. Now to Kerr. Kerr's called a play on. Thompson. Corridor opens up for him. His kick, though, was a stray. He popped it between 3 of his players. Eventually it comes to Jarrett. Jarrett's got a couple on over the top, and he goes too wide with the kick. So again, another forgettable passage of play from both sides.
He'd be disappointed with that, Luke Jarrett. He's a great kick usually. Give the ball back to the Westies that easily. He'd be really disappointed, I think.
This is a good kick from Thompson. The Slattery, he had a runner there. He'll go by foot, goes deep into the 50. Nelson was in good position, couldn't quite bring it down, still off hands, and that lobs well for them. They'll get a stoppage.
It's pretty hot down here today. Looks like the players are out on their feet already. It's probably mainly the first or second game that the players have had to deal with the heat aspect of the game, and look like they're pretty tired already.
It's been a really warm start to spring, no doubt about it. Nelson's hit. Now running away from goal point, and Hill gets it to Homburg. Chance here for the Bloods, and he raised his eyes and then kicked it the bare 15, and Tuck marks.
Yeah, there's good composure there by young Homburg to find Travis Tuck, who is a good shot for goal, definitely within his range and desperately needed by the Bloods.
He picked them up and carried them on his shoulders last week at Alberton Tuck. 9 clearances, averages 8 a game, which is the best in the SANFL. Now can he kick a goal here? He comes in from 50 and he kicks it very well. So Tuck gets a goal and the Bloods break a run of 3 Eagle goals.
Yeah, look, it was a great finish by Travis Tuck. He hung it out there for the wind to bring it back and didn't look like it was going to come, but eventually did. Homburg did well to lower his eyes, as the Eagles have done for most of the day, and hit up the target, which was a great finish by Travis Tuck in the end. Badly needed for the Bloods.
Understatement, isn't it? 34 points still the margin. And the Bloods kicking with the breeze. So, having trailed by 21 at quarter time, they've still got the task in front of them. Allman with a few dodges and then cleverly got it out to his teammate and eventually to Goldsworthy. And Goldsworthy inside 50 wasn't the greatest of kicks. Nelson now at the steady. Hill, he goes wide looking for Bonnie. Straight through the hands. Ellis Yeoman at the back takes it across the line. And the story for the Bloods this afternoon, just haven't been on song at the moment.
No, you're not wrong there, Crossy. You can see there Matty Goldsworthy before he refuses to kick the ball wide. He's definitely looking inside at every opportunity.
Nelson and Borholm in the ruck. And the industrious one, the skipper Luke Powell, makes the tackle. So right as it sits now, Eagles in pole position to go into the qualifying final against Westies next weekend. Bonnie Slattery put his head down, was tackled. Powell on the ground, raked it in, umpire calls play on. Powell can't get it out, the umpire says he'll have it.
Been a fantastic player for the Eagles over the years, Luke Powell. Getting on in age now, but he's still an important factor in their midfield. Just provides grunt.
He's 32, still top 10 in the comp in clearances and handballs. Just gets his hands dirty every week. So Lewis, Raymond just thumps that footy high. Comes around in the breeze. Kerr forced to do some work. Bricknell mopped up well. Hartlett, this kick needs to be good. Was good, Poynton. Now Thompson, raise the eyes. Now Slattery's got this footy. He goes wide for Favretto. First gamer. He's been in really good form in the reserves. He comes inboard. Homburg promising this by the Bloods. They've opened up the corridor where Tuck's got it and he's got a convoy with him to escort him. He thumps the ball in and a mark taken. Moran.
You can see just by the Bloods switching the play, they opened up the Eagles' defence. They had their numbers back, the Eagles, but they just shifted the defence a little bit, and it was enough with a penetrating kick for Tuck to head long into the 50 for Big Brad Moran to take a mark. I'm sure this is what Andy Collins would like to see come a couple of weeks' time.
Came back to league footy mid-season, Moran, after retiring. And I reckon this has been just about his best half he's played since returning. He's taken some good marks and he gets a goal. And the Bloods tighten it up a little. 28 points.
Yeah, he's a tough matchup, Brad Moran. Big guys don't grow on trees. And for them to pick up a guy like him halfway through the season, definitely give him an advantage come next week and further through the finals. It was a strong mark. He's just too big for Luke Thompson down there. So Bloods should maybe get it in there a little bit quicker and longer and try and use that advantage.
Well, as I said, Andy Collins has mentioned that he's still tinkering, looking for a key forward.
Don't know about his haircut though.
Very unlucky at AFL level, Brad Moran, with injury. Every time he sort of threatened to put some games together, he'd cop an injury. Out of the middle now. Lewis over the ball, Tuck dogging him. And Dykesman dives on the ball. He's in trouble now because he's just dived on it. Surely the umpire's circling. He's going to pinch him. So Jared with the free kick. And he looks to the outer side of the ground. He does have Gafrida out there. He looks to this side of the ground where he's got a couple of players as well. And now he's running sideways to Sumner. So Sumner, he decides to go inboard slightly. Pretty good kick. Hall. And Von Berto, and now Salter, and Salter was clever just to hold it up. Powell. Now, in all that though, they gained about 30 metres, but that's it. And now Westies have folded back in defence. Powell wide with a kick to Thompson. So Thompson inboard has Lewis. Ball floats, but that's okay. Nobody behind Scott Lewis. Westies with everybody defending at the moment, and even so, leading up, Kane takes the mark, and he'll get taken back 25 metres as well. Will Anderson for the push after the mark. Has to be said, it was unnecessary.
Yeah, definitely. It's a coach killer, that young Anderson. He's a long way out there, Chris Kane, and I reckon he would have struggled to make the distance. You can see the class from Scotty Lewis. Lowered his eyes again and hit up that leading target.
So having edged back into the contest with a couple of goals, Westies give away a simple one to Kane, and that margin out to 34.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. The Bloods worked really hard to get back into the game today, and they were right back into it, but you can see short inside kick there from Lukey Thompson, and Scotty Lewis just lowered his eyes and hit a great pass into Chris Kane on the lead. And Mark Strongly finished quite easily from the top of the square.
I know Westies have got a lot of guys out today, but I reckon they've done some homework on them. Michael Godden spoke about that pre-game. They're really lowering the eyes and looking for these short kicks with Westies' numbers back.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, this is only precursor to next week as it looks at the moment, and definitely you can see the focus is on them lowering their eyes and hitting the lead-up targets.
So burst in tight. Tuck was there too. No prospect of that footy coming out of that dusty area in the centre circle. 34 points now the margin. Just takes a bit of sting out of the West Adelaide comeback, that last goal. Heath, Goldsworthy brushed off a tackle, that was Bricknell. Then goes long, Staple was in good position, the spoil from Kirk was good. Only Eagles down here. Two of them all arrive at the same time. Bomberto leaves it for Stewart. Handball for Hall. Had time for a fumble. 45 out. Just got it on the boot rather awkwardly. And slightly off target. But dangerous signs again. A lot of Eagles on their own.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Look, the Eagles are coming into their own now, I think. And Westies, they've already withheld one attack on them. But definitely going to come again, I think.
Michael Godden. Some research, if you like, for next week. As the ball comes in. Donksman got the hand pass out. So Westies with an opportunity through Slattery for a late goal. They haven't really used the breeze in this quarter. Fumble there from Poynton, but eventually under control to Slattery on the outside. Boy, Kane shut him down, but he just got the hand pass in time. They've set it up for Moran. He should kick a goal, and he has just done it.
Great running footy from West Adelaide. Great transition from defence and turned it into attack. Hard running by Slattery there. Took a couple of bounces and did well to see that free player. Homburg, nice easy handball over to Brad Moran, who finished the goal off under a little bit of pressure. It's a great goal for the Bloods. Desperately needed again. Seems like I'm saying that every time, but they desperately needed that one.
They need a couple more, don't they?
Yeah.
27 go on in this term, so we're right on the stroke of half time. And Moran gets his second for the term. Ball back in the middle. Free-flowing and entertaining contest thus far. 5 goals to 4 in this term. The Eagles have been on the better side of it into the breeze. Nelson got this kick. Ball lobs, Jared. Tackled, Freezer handball. But then this handball missing. And Favretto grabs it. Chance here. The long bomb on goal. Bonnie got a lot of distance. Just not the accuracy, but it's a powerful kick.
West Adelaide are sort of playing in spurts at the moment. I suppose you get that with a young group, but you can see their pressure and their intensity around the ball has definitely picked up towards the end of this quarter. It's good to see.
Still 28 the margin as we approach 29 minutes in this second quarter. Sumner with the kick in, very short kick in. Stewart, who's been so prominent in this opening half, and now Heath. Campbell Heath goes to Sumner, who started the move. Sumner looks up. Nothing much available. He goes to Von Berto, who's called the play on. Umpire said it wasn't a mark. Gefrida well taken. Sumner with good run. And now it opens up, or does it? Sumner keeps it low again to Goldsworthy. Another left footer, as luck would have it. Goldsworthy shows the ball, goes for Ainger, and Ainger takes it well. Now he looks inside. Hall was available. He didn't go to him. He went longer for Salter. Hall follows up. and then slips the hand past to Staple just a little bit low. Salter gathered at his ankles as well. And now Powell dancing around, and now Salter, and now they're caught. Well, it took a while and some persistence from Westies, but eventually they forced the error.
Yeah, great effort from the Westies, the Bloods defence, to get back and put the Eagles forwards under pressure.
And now Kerr shows some dash. 4 bounces. Runs his full measure, ran about 50 metres with those 4 bounces, got it to the 50. Still had a chance for a moment. Stewart slung in the tackle, but he did release. Gafrida almost gone. The Bloods have suddenly lifted their intensity. And they will get a free kick, will they? Yes. We'll come back here.
You could definitely feel it, couldn't you, Kimbo? The Bloods have definitely picked up. Being a young group, it's exactly what Colo would love to see, I think.
A late one here, and they'll go into half-time with some genuine momentum. Ball inside the 50. Moran's had a big term. He came at it, but Stewart, who's been just about the outstanding player of the half. Gafrida, Lewis. Heath should run on to this footy now. He gathers and pumps it up the wing. It could be all right. Goldsworthy, he's so clever. He'll slip that tackle, slip low, advantage paid. Gets on to his left. The umpire almost confused him there, I reckon. He ended up going inside the 50. Ainger, back for Goldsworthy. If anyone can finish, he can. And maybe no one can finish because he misses.
You could see he's on the wrong leg there, and he should have... he probably can't kick right foot being a left footer, but he definitely should have tried to steady up a little bit there, Eddie Goldsworthy.
So 29 the margin. A surge from West Adelaide. Game has definitely opened up. 31-minute quarter in these conditions too. And clever from Stewart, and he had the choice of 3, and he picked out Hall 40 metres out, directly in front. Siren time.
Paul Stewart's been fantastic today. Definitely the best on ground at the moment. Standing out. His work ethic and hard running has just set himself above anybody else on that ground out there, and his skills are a little level above as well. I'm sure that in this form he'd be looking to get a game at the Power next week. It's been fantastic.
So for all their efforts to arrest the momentum, West Adelaide, well, they still trail by 29 points at half-time after that one was very much astray from Chris Hall. So half-time here at the Richmond Oval. What a match and what a weekend we've got of SANFL football. West Adelaide trailing the Eagles. The Eagles 10-7-67, Westies 6-2-38, and it's such a big weekend. We've got a lot to get through. So at half-time, let's start it with the under-18s from last week. It was round 22.
The round began on Friday night out at the Richmond Oval with Westies mathematically a chance to play finals footy this spring. It didn't take long for that chance to evaporate. The Bloods side had little chance against the bigger and stronger Magpies. It was the Magpies' best start for the year, and it really set the tone for the rest of the match. Once again, Tom Gray was outstanding for Port. From the Cleve Football Club, Tom displayed great defensive pressure in the midfield, and he was once again supported by Major Lynett from Port Lincoln, who managed 6 goals in his 13th under-18 appearance. And rounding out the country lads was Jack Harsma, the captain. Originally from the Cummins Football Club on the Eyre Peninsula, this was Jack's first game back from Sacred Heart College. He's a top ager for Port, and his experience showed as he played up forward and in the middle of the park. His 30 disposals included 7 inside 50s and a great running goal in the final quarter. Anthony Pryor has come through Port's under-16 program. He's played half a dozen under-18 games this season, but this was his highest scoring match for the year. Anthony put 3 through the middle as he applied good pressure up forward. And Sean Davidson played his best game for the under-18s last weekend. He's been up and down in form this year, but he's played 11 games with the reserves. He played across half forward in this match and scored Port's first goal just 2 minutes into the contest. They would go on to score 19 more. West only managed 7 goals, and coincidentally they fielded 7 under-16 players in round 22. With some of the more well-known names in line for senior football at the pointy end of the season, it was up to the youngsters to step up. But it was a battle. West finished the match with just 17 players. With 2 concussions, 1 ankle and an AC joint, the bench was empty by three-quarter time. Coach Jared Mears was ready to remove his tie and get on the field. For West, Jack Evans, the captain, played his first game since early June. Jack's been plagued with injury this year with a recurring lower leg injury, benching him for weeks. From the Flagstaff Hill Football Club, Jack gave everything he had and was once again benched in the final quarter when he was concussed for his efforts. Back in round one, Hassan Ahmad Watkins kicked 11 goals against the Dogs. That record still stands today. Last week, the Bloods welcomed him back from duties with Sacred Heart, including the Open Schools Grand Final. In round 22, he kicked 5 of West's 7 goals. Say no more. But it was a battle of man versus youth, and on this occasion, the men won, Port by 86 points. The other Friday night match of the round was at the Norwood Oval, and it's a match everyone was talking about for all the wrong reasons. Norwood won this game, but most, if not all, who witnessed it would agree that the Eagles finished the match with the higher score. At half-time, it appears that the goal umpires didn't agree on the score. One had the Eagles with 5 goals, the other had them with 4. To cut a long story short, they agreed on 4, and Eagles coach Shane Grimm was perplexed to say the least. The vision of the match shows the Eagles scoring goals through Hayes, Ferns, Hall and 2 to Fitzner, but according to the official stats, one of those goals didn't happen. It wouldn't matter as much if the Redlegs hadn't won by just 3 points. Ouch. Controversy aside, there was some great football on display, with Jordan Persinos from the Hope Valley Football Club excelling in defence. Jordan is as fast as they come with a top speed of 30.1 kilometres an hour. At that speed, he could run to the MCG in just one day. And he might need to one day because his performance was brilliant. He showed versatility and poise in defence. He's used to playing up the front, where at 190 centimetres is a good marking target. Eddie O'Connor has had a shoulder injury for most of the season, and he came back for this match after a gruelling rehab program. With his first touch, he marked the ball, and with his second, he scored a goal. But Eddie hasn't been wasting his time during his rehab. He's been coaching the forwards, and it must have been working because his team will finish the minor round in 3rd place. The Eagles will finish 2nd. Oh, what a difference a goal would have made. Albie Dunstan at half forward had trouble with the tight confines of Norwood Oval. Albie from the Adunda Football Club likes to run. Norwood Oval doesn't suit his game, but he was still among the best on ground with 25 disposals against his name. Jack Ellsworthy from Kadina played in the All Schools Grand Final win for PAC a couple of weeks ago. In this match, he did his best in defence for the Eagles before being pushed on ball by the coach, but he maintained his defensive pressure even when playing through the midfield. And Ethan Haylock from Foss Camden Football Club is the son of Gary Haylock with over 200 games for Woodville and the Eagles. Ethan had his first best on ground listing in this match. He played up forward and on the wing, keeping the Haylock name in high esteem with 25 disposals on the night. The Eagles might have had a shot at top spot if they'd won this match, but as they always say, the umpire's word is final, and the final margin just 3 points to Norwood. Down at the Bay, Central District once again showed how much they've improved under coach Matt Krieg. They came up against a Tigers outfit trying for a place in the finals, and the Dogs played pretty well, although the scoreboard will show Glenelg won by 12 goals. It's percentage that Glenelg needs. After round 22, Adam Blakely's boys were just 0.31% from a finals berth, so they need goals and plenty of them. They got 21 goals last Saturday, but could have had more, but for some errors up front. But not making any errors was one of 3 high-performing inside midfielders. Luke O'Connor, winner of the Maccas Cup MVP for the round. Luke has played for Glenelg over the past few weeks rather than for his college team, Prince Alfred. That means he missed the All Schools Grand Final against Sacred Heart at Norwood Oval, but he's been among Glenelg's best for the last 3 weeks, so it's all been worth it. 2 goals for Luke in round 22. Bryce Woolard is also from PAC. He did play for his college team at the pointy end of their season, but he came back to the Bays and didn't miss a beat across half forward. He's only small, but his pressure on the ball made all the difference, with 5 inside 50s and a goal in the second quarter. The other 2 high-performing midfielders were Jack Mackay with 18 disposals and Cameron McPherson from the Happy Valley Football Club. Cam's 10 clearances gave Glenelg the edge around the stoppages. Jack Whaley was a key forward for Glenelg. Jack presented well throughout the match, with his overhead marking a crucial part of the Tigers' forward pressure. His 6 goals was a personal best at this level. For the Dogs, Darcy Heyman once again put his senior training to good use. Darcy picked up 18 disposals and took his side inside Glenelg's 50-metre zone 5 times. And Josh Richardson from Salisbury North and Eastern Park did his best up front. Josh was one of the vice-captains of the under-16 side, and he scored his 2nd goal for the under-18s in just his 3rd game at this level. But in round 22, it was the Tigers by 75 points. This was South's last game of season 2013 and coach Tony Bamford let the boys out to play. The scoreboard was of less significance than teamwork and endeavour, and while they kept on keeping on until the bitter end, the Sturt boys were too tall and too talented to let this one get away. Best for Sturt was Jacob Leake from the Harndorf Football Club. Jacob was strong at the football and ended the day with 19 disposals and a goal for his troubles. And serving Sturt as a ruck rover was Josh Hone in his 19th game for the season. That's right, Josh hasn't missed a single game for his team, and even though the clearance count was pretty well even across the two teams, Josh led his team's clearances with 6 for the match. In his 7th game for the season, James Rose from Scotch College led well. His pace and smarts served him well up front, as they've done every time he's played. James has scored every time he's fronted for Sturt, and this week was no exception, with 5 goals recorded against his name. Luke Andruskovic from the Macclesfield Football Club has been around the Sturt Football Club for many years. Known as Luke A to Z to those who find his surname a bit tricky, he won 25 hitouts using his height to full advantage on Saturday. But he was matched by South's Luke Ross, who managed 26 hitouts for the losing side. Not a bad effort. And also working hard for South was Matt Dominish from Langhorne Creek. The clever midfielder led the clearance count for the match with 10 clearances, the only player from either team to reach double figures. Add to that 21 kicks and 13 handballs, and Matt's stats page looked very healthy at the end of South's season. Coming back from Sacred Heart College was Reece Bartram across half-back flank. Reece's running game saw him take risks through the corridor, with most of them paying off. He was easily South's best out of the back half with 34 disposals and 10 rebound 50s. We've already talked about James Rose, who scored 5 goals for Sturt. Most of those goals were in the first half. After half-time, Rose was manned by Sam Hamilton. In his 15th game for South this year, Sam took Rose out of the game, allowing him only 1 goal and 1 point in the second half. And coming over from the Dudley United Football Club on Kangaroo Island was the brilliant Ty Martain. This was Ty's 2nd game for South, and he gave everything he had, starting on a wing, finishing up front and emptying his tank in between. South's run in 2013 may be over, but Sturt still have finals football to think about. Rounding out round 22, it was the Double Blues by 94 points.
Our apologies first up. If you were watching closely, you might have noticed 2 or 3 glitches in there with our machines, but never mind. If you want to see the entire thing again, you can go to youtube.com/ABC State Footy. You can see all the under-18s from last week, round 22. So checking those results again, big win there for Port Adelaide. Norwood by just the 3 points over the Eagles. Glenelg by 75 points and Sturt by 94 points. Round 23 played... After that, we'll have a look at the ladder as it stood. So the interest there really was between Sturt and Glenelg for 5th position. You can see Sturt a bit of an advantage in percentage, but both clubs sharing 9 wins apiece. So if we have a look at yesterday's round 23, again, the 2 interesting games there for were Glenelg and Sturt. So Sturt very comfortably by 84 points and Port getting over Glenelg by 51, meaning Sturt grabs 5th spot for the finals. North by 52 points. All these, of course, big wins. Eagles by 98 points over West Adelaide. And, of course, we'll have the highlights of all that action next week as we go into the major round. It's North Adelaide finishing on top. Timmy Weatherall's boys very safe there on top with percentage and a couple of points over the Eagles. Norwood in 3rd position, Port and Sturt rounding out the front. So Port and Sturt now will play in the elimination final. The Eagles will play Norwood in the qualifying final. Okay, that's our complete summary of the under-18s from last weekend, indeed from round 23 of the under-18s. We're going to go interstate now to the VFL and the WAFL, and in the VFL it was elimination final time.
In its first finals appearance in 3 years, Collingwood was hoping to extend its campaign into a second week with a win over Port Melbourne, who were no stranger to big games in September. It was all the borough in the first term, with Julian Rowe opening the scoring, and suddenly Port Melbourne had 4 goals on the board before Collingwood could get their hands on the footy.
Kane continues to run for Port Melbourne. He kicks up in the Bonadio direction. Richmond overcommitted himself. He ran over the mark and allowed Bonadio 2 cheap metres, and when that sort of thing happens, Bonner will make you pay.
Tempers were boiling over at the first change, with neither side backing down. The Magpies started showing a bit more endeavour in the second term and found themselves back in the contest midway through the quarter.
Here's Martin, Kyle Martin, from the impossible angle.
It was a much better turn from Collingwood as they made up ground, but Port was able to keep its head in front and led by 12 points at half-time. The Borough were under pressure when Jackson Payne cut the margin to just 7 points with the first of the final term before Port's Heath O'Farrell stepped up with 3 extraordinary final term goals.
Great chase. Well done. Scipione who provided it, and perhaps O'Farrell might seal it. Oh, he's the modern day Darren Jarman.
A fantastic finish from Port Melbourne, who lived to fight another day after a hard-fought 25-point win. After finishing the home and away season with a disappointing loss to Collingwood, Werribee was out to prove it was a genuine premiership contender against a Bombers lineup eager to put a tumultuous season behind them. Against a strong wind in the opening term, Werribee would have been delighted when scores were level after more than 7 minutes. But Essendon finished the term with 5 straight goals to lead by 28 points at quarter time. A huge quarter for the Tigers saw them keep Essendon scoreless while piling on 8 straight goals to lead by 4 at the main break. The Bombers would need to bounce back in the third term, and they got the start they were looking for.
To Ambrose, Hams has done some good things today, and there's another one.
But a goal to Werribee on the three-quarter time siren would prove costly. A spirited final term for the Bombers saw them equal Werribee's 5 goals for the quarter, but it was too little too late as the Tigers proved to be too much to handle. Essendon paid the price after a costly second term, with Werribee holding on to a 19-point win. Swan Districts when hosting West Perth at Bassendean Oval. The Swans needed a win to secure a finals berth, while the Falcons were looking to take winning form into September. In a low-scoring quarter, West Perth drew first blood when Aaron Black used the win to convert from long range. West Perth nearly made a meal of a golden opportunity in the second quarter before the ball bounced in their favour and they escaped with a goal, which was followed by 2 more minutes later.
A clever knock on to Manning, clean pick-up, hand passes off to Kerr. Kerr with plenty of pace, takes a bounce, takes a second, runs to 35 metres, kicks intelligently, low into the breeze and it bends back for him.
Swan Districts kick-started the second half with the first 2 majors.
Hand pass 2, it's on to Roach, takes a bounce, sweeps a hand pass over the top, running away Gapin, he'll take a bounce, this will be some goal for Swans.
The visitors responded when Matt Fowler kicked a much-needed goal for West Perth to give them a sniff at the final change. The contest was well and truly alive when Rowan Kerr kicked his second to start the final term, but Swan Districts seemed to want it more.
He's got Fortner there if he needs him, and he goes with a centering kick, goes to Rogers. Rogers will play on the left footer, lines them up and steers it through.
With a place in the finals on the line, the Swans proved too strong and held on to win by 18 points. Ryan Davis was named best and Tim Gapin kicked 3 for Swan Districts, while Shane Nelson was impressive for the Falcons with 42 possessions. Across town, Perth finished its season with a come-from-behind win over South Fremantle. East Fremantle dealt Claremont just its 3rd loss for the season by 10 points, and East Perth did enough to beat Subiaco and secure its spot in the finals. At the conclusion of the home and away season, the Swans and the Royals have secured finals berths, while remarkably East Fremantle has missed out despite winning 6 of its last 7 games.
So there's the look at the WAFL, and before that, of course, the VFL. And as we saw there, the VFL elimination finals last week. So now we're down to the semis. So yesterday, they were underway with Williamstown getting over Port Melbourne comprehensively there. 27-14 plays 14-5. So a big victory for Williamstown over Port Melbourne. That was yesterday. This afternoon, the Casey Scorpions are playing Werribee in the other VFL semi-final. And that is score there from that match, a half-time score, and Werribee up, as you see, by just the 10 points, so a close one there. Across in WA, the semi-finals are on this afternoon between Swan Districts and East Perth. Now that is the knockout final, and Claremont, the top team, taking on West Perth, second place, so a top 4 over in WA. And as you see there, the 3:45 is the first bounce in that. You can see Swans against East Perth, which is the ABC match on Friday morning at 2:30 a.m. If you want to catch that, catch all the action in the WAFL. So, wow, what a weekend. It's going on and on, James, but there's still plenty to come. It's a very handy lead for the Eagles right here.
Yeah, look, the Eagles have been fantastic early, led by their star in Paul Stewart, who's been everywhere for the Eagles today. And, it was probably on the cards with Westies having such a young side in. But, the Bloods have done well to get back in touch, I think. But, it's all there for the Eagles to do to take the win.
Yep, and take the double chance. Now, that probably means that Benny Knights is watching a dead rubber in some ways between Norwood and North Adelaide. But the Roosters still plenty to gain in terms of confidence at half-time.
Yes, Neil, absolutely. Plenty to play for here for North Adelaide. They need to get some confidence out of this game. They started that quarter extremely well. They had the first 4 scoring shots of the second quarter, but it was Norwood who pulled away then late in that quarter with the 3 last goals. At half-time, it's Norwood by 17 points here, 16 scoring shots to 9. As you've just seen in the highlights here, there's a nice goal kicked by Jay Shannon. Max Stringer's the other one who's kicked the goal that quarter. So 3 goals from their smalls, their on-ballers and their midfielders and half-forwards, North Adelaide. Daniel Stewart and Tom Langford finding it a little bit tough to come by, getting kicks quite wide and being forced wide by the defence of Norwood. On the flip side of that, Norwood also, they're playing the extra man back. North Adelaide are doing the same, and so therefore it's hard for both big forwards for Norwood to get their hands on much of the footy. Big Davis started the game well. He took a massive hanger in the first minute of the game, but it's been pretty quiet since. Benny Warren also not getting a lot of the footy. But again, it's Norwood smalls. Matty Fuller kicked 2 goals this quarter. Simon Phillips kicked his second goal for the quarter. And also James H, the other goal kicker for Norwood. So it's a battle at the moment of the defences. The score, very, very close. It is tight, but Norwood have just broken out to almost a 3-goal lead. You'd expect them to keep going on with it the way they have. North Adelaide, though, a lot to play for. They need to get something out of this game after their very, very poor last month.
Thanks for that, Benny. And from Norwood, we go across to Unley. And Jared, again, this looks like a dead rubber, but Centrals have been in some ways devoid of confidence. Sturt were able to dominate the first half.
Yeah, certainly were. I mean, Central's hit back in the second quarter, and we've got a 17-point ball game in favour of Sturt at the moment. But Central started well the first 5 minutes, kicked the first 2 goals. Ryan Williams got on the end of one, and they looked like they were going to really put the foot down. But to Sturt's credit, got themselves back in the game, and from that point onwards, it really has been a bit of an arm wrestle for the second quarter. Both teams had opportunities on goals, probably didn't make the most of them with some poor decisions going inside their forward 50. But in the end, pretty open game, and I think Roy Laird really would just want to get some form up, get some consistency for this second half and head into the finals next week looking like an elimination at the moment with some real confidence.
Just curious also about the scoring rate, which was very high in that opening quarter. Things slow up a little in the second term?
Yeah, it did. I mean, the first probably 10 minutes there was a lot of goals scored, but then it really did drop off. And this probably the last 10 to 12 minutes, both sides had opportunities with the football, and it was quite open as a game, but they couldn't put it on the scoreboard, and their forward entries really did let them down. So I think both sides will be looking for that to improve in the second half. And obviously for Sturt, really a home game, finish off the season well. But like I said before, Roy Laird really want them to improve their intensity around the football and make this a really big third quarter for Centrals, which they're known for to be a very good team.
One last thing, very, very quickly. Who's got the breeze in the third term?
Going with the breeze in the third term will be Sturt. So they obviously worked pretty hard against it in that quarter. But if they can get the first 2 or 3 goals in this third quarter, I think it'll be very hard for Centrals to get back into the game.
All right, thanks, Jared Cotton there at the Unley Oval, watching Sturt host Central District. And maybe I was a bit too unkind in saying Sturt had managed to rob Centrals of their confidence, because it's only 17 points. I thought the way they were going at one stage that Centrals are going to say, oh, well, we're not going to make a dent, so let's leave it go. So 17 the margin in both games at the other grounds, and it's a big lead here for the Eagles at halftime. Here's Kim Morgan with the third term.
So the Eagles right here can firm up a double chance, book a date with the Bloods next week, and take some confidence into it. If in this quarter they use the breeze. If not, well, then other scenarios still open up. But at the moment, it looks like we're watching a preview of a qualifying final. Slattery balanced that footy on his head, Harlem Globetrotter style. The Eagles got the clearance though. Ainger, the ball got over the back. He's still a chance, Ainger. The bounce just wasn't kind to him. Hartland ran onto it, cleared the area. Another rebound 50 for him. Kane gathered, Kirk tackled. Heath, good tackle on him by Bonnie. Gave him no chance to release. Footy does come out somehow. And Bonnie, that tackler, kicks along centre wing. Keogh's been pretty good with his attack on the footy. Ellis Yeoman low down under pressure, and we get a stoppage. So right in front of the centre race area, the Eagles with 5 goals to 2 in the first term, 5 to 4 in the second. It's been open and free-flowing. West don't often concede 100 points in a game. They may do so here today. Miranda Schiller. Schiller's short spot-up kick for Poynton. Needs to be quick. He gets it on the boot. Homburg. Bounce eludes him and able to mop up easily is Heath.
Heath goes wide with a kick for Batley. Back through the corridor, Borholm available, and so is Lewis. Now Batley, we know he's fast. Decides to take the bounce and take him on. He was just too quick that time. And for Salter, who had a bit of space, and that's why the 2 grabs was okay for him. And then he pops it over the top. Chris Hall, he'll have to make good pace to this ball. He does it, or he doesn't, said the umpire. Boundary umpire right on the job there. I have my doubts. James, what do you think?
Oh, I think it was in, actually. Whole ball out, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tuck got it off to Burse. Down the line he goes. Gefrida comes across. Big collision. Opens up for Bonnie. Good pace. Can take a bounce. Nobody in front of him. Ellis Yeoman trying hard to track him down. Bonnie off the left foot goes short for Still, who was held. And the umpire spotted it. So he can go over the top. And this should be a goal. The easiest of goals coming up. And Poynton ran on well. So a good start to the second half for Westies.
Yeah, it looks like the Eagles might have come out of half-time a little bit dazed and not quite switched on, but it's a great effort then by young Chris Bonnie. Showed great pace then and to get the ball in quick and really put Luke Thompson under the pump, who gave away an easy free kick, and Dean Poynton finished off the easiest of goals.
He did, still getting the free kick there. Interesting one with him, 18 goals this season. It's only his 7th game. Played a lot of reserves footy.
Yeah.
More reserves in league this year. You'd think Andy Collins now probably will look to leave him in and make him a focal point come finals.
Yeah, he's definitely got some talent, and it's hard to find genuine goal kickers.
Especially Brad Fisher, who was their focal point last year, of course, leaving. And their leading goal kicker this year, John Beach, a small forward. Now, spun in the tackle, Schiller. Of course, Beach not out here today. One of a number of bloods rested. Burst got a handball. And then a kick out wide, foot race. Sumner not too keen to keep that footy alive. So Westies do have this breeze to come home with. If they could turn within 4 or 5, they're a chance.
Yeah, they've definitely not out of it. They've fought back every time we thought they were gone. So
it's a hot day too. So it'll come. Fitness will play a part. And Slattery's handball, Homburg. Penetrating kick still. Can he get involved? Off hands Heath again. He's done that a few times. Stewart and Heath so good, both power listed. Sumner's short kick here finds Lewis.
Lewis in turn, short kick. Borholm. He's been active this afternoon. Certainly a little more mobile than what I remember him. Stewart, of course, has been very good. He goes for Heath. Heath on the outlet, a left footer, immediately goes to that side. He had a chance to pull it back inside, didn't do it very well. Oh, and then Salter with a pickpocket. Over the top he goes. Chance for Allman. Inside 50. Ainger by himself can wander into open goal, and he'll do so. And Andrew Ainger gets his 4th of the afternoon.
Great effort from Nick Salter. The kick from Campbell Heath coming in was really poor. It wasn't really up to his standard, but Salts didn't give up. He kept putting the pressure on and managed to get a hand in and got it over to Appleton, who saw Ainger in space, and he ran into goal, a big fella, and finished off for his 4th. He's been the key forward of the day and dominant on the ground at the moment. He's had a fantastic start to the game.
Boys, we spoke about Andrew Ainger pinching the Ken Farmer medal. Corey Ogilvy's a better one to answer this one, but Alan Jakovic kicked 11 goals on the final game of the season to pip Rudy Mandamaker in the race for the Ken Farmer one year.
We'll get back to Corey on that. I do vaguely remember something about that. I reckon I was a kid at that stage, CK, so I'm not going to buy into it.
I reckon Rudy's told me that before too. He's probably still talking about it.
Maybe over a beer?
Yeah.
Wasn't that 1990?
1990, I don't know what year it was.
Scotty Hodges kicked 150 odd in 90, so it must have been,
yeah,
I reckon, 89. Anyway.
He'll probably ring up and tell me in a minute.
So Hall here draws a man. Appleton, liked his game, Appleton. He gets a lot of the footy. Salter. Now bombing kick. At the back was Staple. Ground level, whistle. And it'll be a Bloods free kick, and Logan Hill can have 2 bounces and cut through the middle of Richmond Oval.
Gee, for all his bad luck with his broken leg, Hill's still got some pace, hasn't he? Now the Bloods are caught in the middle of the ground. Surely Poynton gone for holding the ball. Gafrida, a dogged player, pulled him down. Wide he goes with a kick. Interesting decision. And he's almost turned it over. Sumner will go in low and hard on Kirk. And we will get a ball up eventually.
Yeah, it's a thing that lets Paddy Gafrida down his skills, but he's probably not a tougher competitor in the competition. He gives away height and strength most weeks, but it's just his skill let him down then.
Borholm, uncontested tap down. Salter buys some time. Chip pass forward, Tuck in best position. Just pushed off his man, or he tried to. He should have been gone in the end. Lewis made a good tackle. Finally it squirts out of there. No, Westies just can't get clear at the moment. And well done by the Eagles. They've managed to force a ball up. Umpire eventually calls for it. He let it go on just for a moment. Aaron Anderson was the last of the Bloods to get up. Appleton slips it out to Salter, belts it forward. Hit and hope into the pocket, out of bounds, wouldn't be a bad place. But Ainger picks it up, shortest of kicks. Wonder if that went the distance, but it was okay for the umpire. And number 22, Lee Staple, will go back and kick a goal, you'd think, for the Eagles. And Westies, after a good start, have now surrendered the advantage again.
Yeah, it was always going to happen with this young group. Nick Salter, quite early in that first half. He's really getting his hands on the ball now. He's a dangerous player. Lee Staple should finish off, and does.
I'm not sure about the run-up, but the kick was effective.
Yeah, look, he's missed a couple. I'm sure he would have had his heart in his mouth then. But, look, the Eagles, they're always going to happen. They just put the Bloods' defence under pressure. Nick Salter bombed it in. Andrew Ainger, he's key forward. He's a great player in the competition. Set Lee Staple up for the easiest of goals. What do I reckon? Even I might get a kick out there in the Eagles forward line today.
Well, especially this is going to open up more, you'd think, with the heat, especially if a bit of steam goes out. So Staples second, kick the opening goal of the match.
There's not much on the line for Westies, so probably a day I would have liked to play against them, I reckon.
Of course, if they were to lose by 20 goals, then North come into it. But I don't think we need to talk about that just yet. It's 35 points. The Eagles go again. And defence gets across. That was Kirk who sprayed that kick badly.
Shane there. Thank you, Shane.
Sumner will get a free kick. Had another great year, Sumner. Of course, on that Swans list for a while, desperate for another go at it. Stewart's kick this time, no one at home. And Kirk again. Made his debut on Anzac Day. Gives it to Burse, who's got more of the footy today with Schmidt and McCready and Co out, some of their prime midfielders.
Yeah, you think about the stars that Westies are missing, and they're actually putting up a fairly good effort today against one of the better sides in the competition. There's some real positives there for Andrew Collins, I think.
Yeah, their intensity around the footy's been good. Probably a little bit less defensive minded, haven't they?
Yeah,
a lot more.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, they're having a go, and that's all you can really ask, I think.
So Appleton, who looks just an in and under player, but he's dived on this. Crowd wanting holding the ball. Umpire wouldn't have any of that. Ball magnet at reserves. Appleton has got his chance in the last month or so, and he's played some really good footy. Pointing down low here. Bomberto, Powell. They work it out. Salter, no. Couldn't get around for Bretto. And the youngster lays a good tackle.
James, after you're saying you can get a kick in the Eagles forward line, Mick Godden was wondering if you brought your boots.
I don't think so.
I think he was talking about when he was playing at his best.
It'd be hard pressed now. 9 kilos overweight.
So the ball out of bounds again. Eagles just forcing it forward another 10 metres or so.
I couldn't get a kick in the backyard against Wingnut Callanan's 5-year-old son last week. So.
Showed out at Anglesey, didn't it?
Yeah, it did too.
Keogh opposed to Ellis Yeoman, who had the better of it. Recovery was good. Gefrida on his left foot, Jared. Oh, and he's a big kick. Look at that, thumps it long. Kerr judged it best and got an uncontested mark. Well, Ormond, I don't know what he was waiting for. Burse. Then he goes wide with the kick, sits up a bit. Homburg eventually has it. He's got Tuck over the top. And he decides to take them on, or draw one at least, off to Thompson. So Thompson goes down the line, low kick, looking for Bricknell. Gee, it was a good kick too. So Bricknell now at right half forward, 60 from goal. Looks and waits and decides on a pass to the lead-up of Still, and Heath just slipped over. I think he was about to go back into the space, and Michael Still comes out and takes the easiest of marks. Quick score update from the VFL in the semi-final there between Werribee and the Casey Scorpions, and Werribee, Travis Tuck's old team, up by 31 points over Casey.
It's a great kick then by Scotty Bricknell, lowered his eyes, and Michael Steele, as good forwards do, led right into that hole in that space.
So, Still, 30 metres out, little fist pump. He's kicked a goal, reduced the margin under 30 points again. We'll go across to the Unley Oval, and across at Unley, Jared Cotton with an update from the Central Sturt game.
It's still very much an arm wrestle at the moment. Centrals came out with the first 2 goals, but Sturt have replied. But at the moment, it's a 12-point ball game.
Thanks for that, Jared. The sense, though, who did you say you had? Centrals have got the wind, or Sturt with the wind in this quarter, which becomes vital, I guess.
Yeah, Sturt have got the wind at the moment, but Centrals are playing some really hard contested football and got themselves right back in the game.
Yeah, having said that, obviously Sturt breaking through the middle there. Michael Code, who's a thumping kick with the ball in the centre of the Unley Oval with a wind behind him. I wouldn't discount the theory that he might have kicked a goal.
He is a big kick. Maybe he was bigger in 09, I reckon, before all those injuries. So, Jared, every time you write the Bloods off here, they kick a goal. They're 29 points down. We'll come home with the breeze. I think it's out of their reach. But they do have a fit-looking side, a lot of young enthusiasm out there. 13 going in this quarter, and they've split the goals 2 apiece. Moran hits that down. Westies through for Vretto. And Hall locks it in the area with a good smother.
Yeah, just as we think that the Eagles are going to run away with it, Westies have done as they've done all day and kicked an important goal to keep themselves in the contest. They've really done well there.
Again, it comes in. Kirk did well. The handball just ran on, though. Intentions were good. Another stoppage. So another goal here for the Bloods. Well, the next goal here for the Bloods, and to some extent it's game on. And it does open up something for the Dogs at the other venue. They're coming with a bit of a rush. They'll have the breeze in that game at Unley. So free kick here, Moran. Well, as I said, James, I reckon he's been pretty good today, Moran.
Yeah, he has been. Look, we're going to take a bit of time to get back into the swing of things, but I'm sure he's going to be a real positive for the Bloods come next week in the finals. Big ground, plenty of room for him in dry conditions, should really suit him.
Great haircut and a great set of orange boots as well.
Yeah, he's out there.
Burse marks this on centre wing in front of the players' race. Shane Burse, so a real lull in this game with some stop-start footy for the moment. Burse goes for Poynton, who will look up the field and see a lot of one-on-ones. Father played 56 games for Fitzroy. He goes long, and there's a whistle off the footy, so it will be a free kick to the Bloods. Keogh will take it, Willie, he will, and he'll get on with it quickly, and he'll go long to the hot spot. Still won't get involved here, and chipping in beautifully was Batley.
It was brave from Batley to stand in there. He gives away the hand pass to Lewis, then gets it back. We know he's quick. He's got an opportunity to use his pace. He signals for a Shepherd, and off he goes. 4 bounces through the corridor. And then he goes wide with a kick into the space of Kane. I think he might have been aiming for it. Falls for Ormond eventually. Ormond into Staple by himself, standing 25 from goal. Great transition from the Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles are really good at that. They cut sides up, as they have done all year, and you can just see the benefit of the pace for Batley. It's really hard to contain. He backed himself, which is a great thing. Obviously shown a lot of confidence by Mickey Godden. He did a really good effort then.
So here's Staple with his patented run-up, which looks similar to Richard Hadley's run in as a fast bowler. So leans back on the kick. Gee, it's effective. So just a steadying goal for the Eagles. 35 the margin here, halfway through the third term. We're going across to Norwood and Benny Knights.
Minute mark yet to score in this third quarter. Norwood now out to a 44-point lead. So Norwood breaking this game open, kicked the first 4 goals of this quarter. North yet to score, and it's the 22nd minute mark.
Just put a line through North. They'll play in the elimination final, and Norwood will have a week off. We knew that, and they will come out firing in that second semi. They have been in some red hot form. They're going to come in with a 10-match winning streak. Salter bangs this one forward, runs the ball on and gets an ordinary bounce.
Yeah, we had a couple of dodgy bounces today, as we saw earlier from Logan Hill and Salt's End, but just shows the flexibility of the Eagles players. Nick Salter's gone on ball and managing to get clearances there.
So in the footy comes. Eagles seemingly on the verge of killing it off. Tuck, high ball, Goldsworthy, and he stood in front of it and judged it well. Umpire paid a push. He'd marked it anyway. He goes inboard, and Lewis, who's a long kick. Better on the run usually on that left, but he could just about go the journey here. Kicked a magnificent goal in the 2011 grand final, and that is not quite as good. I thought he was there, and you'd probably remember that goal.
Yeah,
James, the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. Took a premiership away, it did, but he's a great finisher. He's got great skills, and wasn't far away then.
6 goals in it in favour of the Eagles. And breaking hard, the Bloods. Nelson, big ask for the big man to get down there. Eagles desperately defending. Ellis Yeoman pushed off one, gave it to Hall. Through the corridor he goes, long and direct. Punch came in from Thompson, that was clever. Bricknell with the gather. Now Bricknell can go over the top to Homburg or Thompson, and he chose Thompson. Down the line with his kick. Geez, disposal's been good this afternoon, Kurt Thompson. So Schiller backs up, waits, and good position for Nelson to pull down the grab. Thompson vertically challenged on that occasion.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He plays a lot taller. He plays on guys a lot taller than himself most weeks. Luke Thompson. It's probably his Achilles heel in that he can do it. But yeah, Peter Nelson used his advantage there, which is his height, and took a strong mark.
Chris Kendall, the work being done there on that's Keogh down there, isn't it, with the ankle injury? So I suppose the last thing the Bloods need is to complicate things with an injury, not to mention kicking a ball out on the full.
It is a taping, and it is Tom Keogh, but it's more a retaping more than anything else. The original taping just came a bit loose.
Of course, won't be any injuries to a lot of the Bloods' mainstays or stars, because a lot of them aren't playing. Took no risks at selection, that's for sure. Schmidt and Ferguson and Beach, all stars, all not playing. Now Thompson, who has Cross, you mentioned his kicking's been great, and Slattery under real pressure there, not so great.
Curly, it's yours, your closest, mate. Thank you.
Michael Godden, well, he can almost start planning a qualifying final. Should be a great effort after last season. An ordinary premiership defence never really got going. They're getting going here through the middle. Raymond, who's a beautiful kick, uses it well. Allman's got a player streaming forward, gathering his danger. He can go for 5, and he'll kick 5. He kicked that beautifully, and he is within 6 of the Ken Farmer. A long way to go still for that one.
You can see the class of the Eagles. Once they get their hands on the ball, they just slice sides up. Phil Raymond, great user of the ball. Onto Jared Allman, who hit Andrew Ainger, and it's a great finish from outside 50 for a big guy on the run. He's definitely hard to contain, Andrew Ainger. Quality forward, and proved it again. Probably why the Eagles went so hard to get him from south.
Well, the interesting key to next week may well be the big ground. They've shown the Eagles they've got lots of pace out there to use. It was one of the criticisms of their midfield at one stage.
Yeah, no doubt there. You see that with guys like Batley coming in. Paul Stewart's been a great help for him getting him back. But they definitely match up well against the Westies next week.
Well, they've got a free kick out of the middle too. Appleton. He goes to Powell, who's spread quickly from the centre, and he marks at 45 from goal. Watch for the handoff here. I suspect somebody like Sumner, who's drifting at the back.
Yeah. He's just lurking. No, he's been manned up.
Yeah, Westie's aware of it. But he's not a huge kick as Luke Powell, especially at this stage of his career. James Gowans knows all about that.
I'd still be having a go at it, Crossy, I reckon, with this wind behind me.
Well, that's right. I suppose if he sits it out that left post and the breeze might carry it. Let's see how he goes. From 50. He sat it out the left post and he got it to the goal square. Nobody able to take the marks. Still in dispute. And Hall goes through and kicks it. So now the Eagles really have put a gap in this one.
Yeah, they sure have. Look, they're kicking away. Bloods have got to be careful. Eagles runners are getting going now. They're getting forward to the ball and really slicing up the Bloods defence and midfield group. You just see that ball coming in. It's probably Andy Collins wouldn't be too happy with that. But Chris Hall, as an opportunist coming forward, as all good ones do, is there for the rebound and kicked it through for a nice goal.
Tommy Keogh straight back on, boys. I suspect this last quarter or so might almost be injury management now for Andrew Collins.
So the Eagles with the last 3 goals. Paul, it's his 15th for the season. They do get a good spread of goal kickers. As this one held up, they've got 3 players with more than 30 goals. Angel with 46 now for the season. Goldsworthy and Salter both 30 plus. The only side to have that many guys over 30. And of course, guys like Hall can kick a goal too. So they're a dangerous side, no doubt about it. They've got this one under control, you feel now. Ball in dispute here. The Bloods should get one through Nelson. He was under a little bit of pressure, the big man, and he just hooked it a little.
Yeah, you can't really have a go at the big fella there, but he did well push him forward after the initial ruck contest, and he just missed.
I'll raise that one. What was it, last season, the season before, when he ran into open goal and probably from 10 metres out in that situation missed. But no, you couldn't blame him that time. Nelson, so Kane breaks away, showing good pace this afternoon. Into the corridor he goes. Falls for Allman. Von Berto, and then his delivery was a bit high, and it was a push at the umpire from Hartlett. Staple will take the free kick, 25 out, straight in front. The margin should balloon beyond 50 points with this kick.
Yeah, he was unlucky there, I think, Adam Hartlett. Probably not much in that. Poor defender. Ball come in really quick. I think he just held his ground, and Staple was lucky to get that, I think. But I'm sure he'll go back as the way the game's going now to finish off with a goal. And
as much as you like to have a chat to the umpires, I don't think he looked ever quite as threatening as Adam Hartlett. He didn't even say anything then.
No, that's right.
Staple with the easy goal, 54 the margin.
Yeah, Staple's out, kicked his 4th goal now. They're right on top of the Eagles. You can see when the midfield and their halfbacks get running, they're so difficult to contain. It was a lucky free kick, but the pressure that the Eagles are putting on is really, really worrying the Bloods at the moment, and the young side have got to really sort of try to hold the tide.
3rd for the quarter for Staple, and 4th for the game, all to the southern end of the ground. It's where most of the goals have come. Eagles 6 for the term now, the last 4, and the lead 53 points. They've got this under control. And, well, psychologically, the Bloods surely wouldn't want to go in off a 15-goal loss coming against next week's opponent.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Too early probably to be speaking about 15 goals, but it's getting ugly for them. And they'll come again, the Eagles. Raymond has been a creator off half-back. He'll get it again by the 1-2. Staple, good tackle. Bit of anger in that tackle from Hartlett. And he wants to be rewarded. The umpire says, no, you back-chatted me last time.
Yeah, you've got to be careful, I think, Andy Collins. They don't want to give the Eagles too much confidence going into next week as well, but that's a risk you take by resting your key players on the eve of the finals.
Bricknell comes away from the stoppage. And that is Keogh, so he appears to be fine after having that ankle restrapped.
James, would this margin, though, for Andy Collins almost be licensed to look at players in different positions with a view to next week?
No doubt, Chris. He's got nothing to lose, really, and I'm sure he'll be telling the players next week that they had so many out. It won't really dent their confidence next week.
Bricknell inside 50, still couldn't gather the ball. He was back on it quickly, and on top of him was Kefrida, and now the umpire says, I'll have it, and the Bloods fans are not happy. So ball in the left forward pocket for Westies. Borholm. Interesting hand pass by Salters, still with the hand pass this time, and finally we will get another ball up. Favretto, the man being taken down there. 53, the margin. I've called it as 54 before. Eagles away. Just took their time, and Raymond held it up well, and then Jared was able to follow up. Just starting to get their run through the corridor going. Appleton, younger player, just a little panicky on the kick as it turns out, went wide and high and out of bounds on the full, so Kerr will bring it back in on centre wing.
Play on now.
Just a reminder, yesterday's Port game, as we know, probably the last game that we'll see the Magpies in their traditional form. That's on youtube.com/ABC State Footy, so extended highlights of that Glenelg Port Adelaide game. And Hartlett gets a free kick, although he won't get credited because the umpire called play on advantage.
So Tuck and Holmberg, Blood searching for a late one. Possible injury of Ainger. Now that is one to keep an eye on in set. Gee, that's a hard collision, and they got clean bowled, and staying on his feet and running into an open goal is the man they call Peanut. Trent Allman kicks the goal, rather Jared Allman. And they're out to 10 goals. That was a huge hit too. It's Hill and also Thompson, rather Kerr and Thompson, and this is Daniel Kerr down here. Maybe seeing stars. Let's have a look at it. Bang.
Yes. Big contest there. Daniel Kerr went back with courage and sort of paid the price there with Logan Hill. What interests me was looked like Andrew Ainger he grabbed at his hammy just before when he was went back. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it's a great effort by Daniel Kerr, and Jared Allman finished off with the easiest of goals.
See Kerr there with some blood. He's a tough player. But certainly that was just two guys from the same side going for the footy, friendly fire.
Boys, Andrew Ainger was reaching for his hammy, but he had a bit of a dual problem. Shall we say he got knocked in a delicate area?
Daniel Kerr off the ground, right behind him Kurt Thompson. Thompson looks the better of the two just at this stage, at least cosmetically.
Neil, just on that thing Chris was asking about earlier, Djakovic kicked 13 in the last quarter, last game of the round 20, 1990, the last Woodville-West Torrens game at Adelaide Oval, but Hodges won the goal kicking with 153 for the year.
I said 1990, thanks boys. Okay, back in the middle we get a secondary bounce.
Went on to be a pretty good player at the Demons.
Yeah, my memory was that it was that last game at the Adelaide Oval between Woodville and West Torrens, so there you go. What a big day that was. For no more than, at least for nothing else than from memory, Ian Scruff Hanna played his 200th game. He played about the last 2 minutes of the game. A little bit of joy for the West Torrens fans that he got to play his 200th on that day.
Kicked the final goal of the match too. The game was also memorable because it was Alan Djakovic's first handball of the season.
Meanwhile, not for their first goal of the afternoon, but Jake Von Berto lining up. And Von Berto for his first goal in his career. And he comes in and bangs it long and straight. So another first for Woodville West Torrens.
Great finish by the young fella there from outside 50. You can see again the Eagles, they're just lowering their eyes every time. They're using the ball well going forward, but Chris Hall spots him up with a nice short kick. And the young fella Bomberto goes back and kicks a goal from outside 50. It's a super finish. I'm sure he'll be replaying the highlights tonight.
He started as a forward. He's played more down back since he's come into the league side. He's a promising under-18 player. 8-goal term here for the Eagles, and 18, and we're not at three-quarter time. 30 and a half gone in this third term. I reckon they'd take 18 for the game next week. I reckon that'd be enough when they play the Bloods again. And this lead has blown right out. 65 points. Back in the middle, Powell wrenched it free. It matters little. The Eagles turned it on in that term, and they had this under control. They will play in the qualifying final, it appears. They lead 18-8, 116 to 8-3-51 at three-quarter time.
Yeah, dominating performance by the Eagles. They've really stamped their class on the contest with a host of good players that they've got in. See guys like Paul Stewart, Nick Salter got into the game there, worked his way in, and with dominant forwards in Andrew Ainger and Lee Staple, they've really taken the ascendancy away from the Bloods, a young Blood side, and we're going to find it hard to get back. They've really dominated the contest and put himself in for the win.
So three-quarter time, and it's West Adelaide copping a bit of a pasting this afternoon against the side. They'll meet in the finals next week. 18-8, 116 for the Eagles to West Adelaide 8-3-51. Well, as I say, James, it's a worry if you get beaten by that much, surely 1 week before the finals.
Oh, look, there's no doubt that he wouldn't be too happy about it, Andrew Collins, but what he has got in positives in his favour is that they're missing, fantastic players in Schmidt and Brian Ferguson, guys like that.
Yeah, big changes coming next week. Okay, let's talk about going around the grounds. Firstly to the Norwood Oval and Benny Knights. What's the story there, three-quarter time?
Thanks, Crossy. Well, it's been a massive quarter by Norwood. They have blown this game wide open. 52 points the margin at three-quarter time. North Adelaide failed to score in that quarter. Norwood, on the other hand, kicked 5 goals, 5. Simon Phillips has now kicked 4 for the day, including 2 in that quarter. Jace Bowe got in on the act and kicked a goal. Davis has kicked 1, and even after the siren, a little bit of party time, young Pfeiffer went back, or not young anymore, but he went back and kicked a torpedo from outside 50 post-siren, and that extended the margin, as I said, out to a whopping 52 points. So Norwood, yes, they were kicking with the breeze that quarter, but North Adelaide, really, they've hit a big brick wall in the last month, and that brick wall is getting taller and taller by the day. So Norwood looking the goods. They'll finish on top of the ladder, clearly, obviously, but they'll take a lot of confidence into a week off and then the first final in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks for that, Ben. So there's the scores at three-quarter time at the Norwood Oval. It's 10-16, 76 Norwood to 3-6, 24 North Adelaide. As we go to Jared Cotton at the Unley Oval, and Jared, I think that's ended Central's hopes well and truly of playing anything but an elimination final.
Yeah, it looks that way. I mean, Sturt really did put the foot down towards the end of this quarter, but there's only a 22-point margin. I thought at the start of this third quarter, Centrals would kick away. They kicked the first 2 goals of the quarter and looked fantastic, and their pressure around the footy, they got their hands on it, got it down deep inside their forward 50, but they just couldn't put it on the scoreboard. And basically that was probably the main thing for the quarter for both teams. For the second half of the quarter, they both had a lot of the football, a lot of forward entries, but they couldn't put it on the scoreboard. But in the end, when Sturt did go forward at times, they were a little bit cleaner, hit their targets a little bit more, and ended up kicking 3 goals to 2 in that quarter. So it wasn't fantastic football, to be honest, but in the end, Sturt are up by 22 points. And I don't think Roy Laird will be very happy with the outcome at the moment.
Well, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? With what's ahead of them next week, sudden death match, and they were playing a side out of the 5. Their form just hasn't been good enough this afternoon. Fair enough to say that?
Yeah, that's probably right on the money there, Neil. I mean, basically from the first quarter, they didn't look into the game, and they played patches again. A little bit like last week, they were just up and down and haven't put 4 quarters together. So I think Roy would really be looking like last week, where they can play a really good last quarter and kick 6 or 7 goals and get some momentum heading into the finals next week.
All right, so we're just watching Tim McIntyre kick a goal there for the Double Blues. Thanks to Jared Cotton out there at Unley. 3/4 time, Sturt 13-9, 87 over Central District, 9-11, 65. Double Blues with an upset win, I think you'd have to say, over the Bulldogs. I think everybody thought the Bulldogs would win that, regardless of whether there was a chance of the double chance. Let's go down to Chris Kendall, been listening in for Westies 3/4 time huddle.
I didn't have to get too close to Andrew Collins. He is furious at the moment. He said they've dropped away from a lot of their basic structure at the moment. He says they're not doing a lot of the little things, and he's really, really disappointed with how the game goes. Notwithstanding, as he mentioned, the fact they've got a number of outs, but he feels that they really have dropped their mental application today, and he's a bit concerned they're possibly giving a bit of ammunition to the Eagles for next week, so he really wants them to try and withstand a last quarter barrage here.
Thanks for that, Chris. Just a look, obviously Andy's settled down there as he sort of set some structures in place, but it's his farewell to the Bloods too this season. He wouldn't be happy with that scoreline at 3/4 time.
No, there's no doubt Colo would have been hoping for a better effort from Westies. They delivered it early in the first half and really stuck with Eagles, but just in the end, Eagles' class has really got them in front.
And speaking of class, Chris Kendall with Michael Godden, who'd be very satisfied with the class of the Eagles.
Reasonably satisfied so far, I would say. Gods, the mindset for this last quarter, do you play a bit of bruise-free football with a view to next week, or do you look to put the foot down and get a psychological boost?
No, I don't believe in it. Like, I think you just got to keep playing the game. Anytime you come off the ball a little bit, you risk injury. So for our blokes, it's a matter of trying to get a spot in the side for next week. And look, I know Westies have rested a lot of people today, and maybe their focus wasn't completely to win, but I don't care. I'll play the 21 players, and the boys have to finish this off.
With a view to next week, you've got to be really happy with how Staple and Angel have combined in attack today.
Yeah, finally we've got a little bit of continuity, and that's nice to have, because we've worked really hard on that all year without Grokey there, and Angel new into the system. So hopefully they can finish it off.
God's barring a count, so I'll be speaking to you again after the game.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thanks, mate.
1/4 to go. Andy Collins would be disappointed. Michael Godden's clearly happy. Let's go to Kim Morgan for that first bounce.
So, final term for Andrew Collins as coach at this ground, where he's rebuilt this team, as Neil Cross mentioned. And, well, a mini preview of next week, where these two teams will go at it again. There's no doubt about that. 65 points to margin. The Eagles will finish second on the table with 13 wins, barring an absolute miracle. And that's 3 more than they won last year. So a good rebuild down there. They lost Justin Ciccolella at the end of last year to retirement. Mark McKenzie, a couple of champion players, and they've injected some youth and they've done very well. And maybe the biggest threat to Norwood, but time will tell on that front. Westies, so many to come back in. I reckon they could even bring as many as 9 to 10 players back in next week. So they win the stoppage. The Eagles, though, Jared's kick was smothered. Burst, grabbed it off hands, hoiks it wide. Homburg got the spoiling on Heath, could fall for Bonnie, gets around a player, gets onto that left foot, and looks as though Hartlett has gone forward. He marks his footy.
You think about Westies, they've had a really big year this year with that Foxtel Cup and things like that. So it's probably not a bad move from Colo to give his main engine room basically a rest. You can see here by getting Hartlett forward, he's throwing the team around a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that they won't really take any negatives out of today.
Yeah, 3 extra games with that knockout cup competition that they played in. So Hartlett is a huge kick of the footy. Just didn't have the accuracy there. He carried 65 to 70 with the kick. So through for a behind. And the likes of Ferguson, Schmidt, not in their youth anymore either, so probably had a long campaign.
Yeah, no doubt. And you throw in guys like McCready as well, who are genuine stars of the SANFL. Sure that they'll be a different side next week.
So Heath just takes his time and just chips it over the top to Batley. A little bit of danger in that kick, but he got away with it. Jarrett, Kane was asked a bit, but did it okay. Knocked the ground after he'd hand passed it. Umpire's not going to recall it. It's advantage, so everybody stopped. So did Hall, or Raymond it was, and then he chipped it short to Salter. So Salter had Gafrida on this side. He's decided to go to the outer side of the ground. Ainger got rid of his man, and he closes to 50 and tumbles the ball through for the minor score.
Yeah, he's just too big there, big Andrew Ainger. And finished off with a poor kick. Wouldn't be happy about that. There goes the Ken Farmer, I reckon.
Boys, a really interesting situation at three-quarter time that's going to attract a bit of attention during the week. Craig Perry addressed the umpires at length out there. He's, of course, suspended at the moment.
It's very interesting. He's doing some umpiring training, I believe, and some anger management. After having his lifetime ban overturned, one of the conditions of his appeal was that he attend umpiring training. How would you have gone with that, mate? James?
Oh, I don't know.
So was he receiving training then, or was he receiving counselling on his anger management?
That's right.
He might have been counselling the umpires at three-quarter time.
That's right.
So Bonnie, handball, Homburg, low down, got a high one.
Oh, nah. He ducked his head there into it. Luke Powell. It's a poor decision by the umpire there.
Slattery loads up, long ball, almost marked by Keogh. And then down low, a good tackle late on Gafrida.
So Bloods, who started the last quarter reasonably well, has ball almost over the line. We're going to go to Unley in just a moment as the Bloods desperately try and get a score. And in fact, we will go to Unley with Jared Cotton now. And Jared, important incident?
Yeah, guys, Matty Yench and Brad Symes ran into each other in the middle of the ground. It didn't look too bad from just watching it from the side, but Symesy hasn't got up and he's on the ground at the moment. It looks like a stretch has been called, so it looks like not good news for Bradley Symes at the moment.
Just seeing the replay now, both players just going at the ball, and it was actually Ben Kane who collided with him, but it appears as if appears as if it might have been knockout time. So Brad Symes in a bit of trouble, and just at this stage a delay there at the Unley Oval, as meanwhile back here Eagles have worked their way down the ground between half forward and centre wing.
The kick comes to that position. Half forward Von Perto will be held up. So
Careful.
we see inset Brad Symes. And that was a nasty clash of heads. And we know with concussions these days, they're quite cautious about them. So that may be a factor in his selection next week. Let's hope he's okay. Ball comes inside 50, and technical one goes Angels' way. Thompson will not like that decision.
Yeah, you can just say that Andrew Ainge's height's really worrying Kurt Thompson. Straight away, as soon as the ball comes in the air, he just reaches and grabs for him. And the free kick was definitely there. And go back and finish an easy goal for Andrew Ainge. Just on, that's his sixth, but just on Brad Symes, he's had a lot of problems throughout his junior career with concussions and knockouts and things like that. So, it's going to be a really touch and go whether he plays next week. He's a vital player for Centrals.
See the free kick there. No real argument with that on replay. He had a handful of Guernsey there and a bit high, so Ainge gets 6, and just the size, he'd be giving away 6-8 centimetres, Thompson, and maybe 10 kilos.
Yeah, easy. Look, he's a big man, Andrew Ainge. You can see why the Eagles went out and poached him from South Adelaide. He's a great forward in the competition.
Ainge with 47 goals now for the season behind play. Tuck was held without the ball. He'll take a free kick here as the Eagles look to break away. Brad Symes, meanwhile, still, they are taking a long time there at the Unley Oval to get him onto the stretcher. A lot of concern, obviously, about his well-being. And that obviously is a lengthy delay out there to the finish of that match as well. So here's Thompson having run from fullback. It's down to half forward. Kick wasn't great. Thompson, meanwhile, for the Eagles, was in the front position, and off the left foot, that ball just floating from burst through for the minus score.
So for the moment, the attention is across town at Unley, with the Eagles having this one under control. Brad Symes, if you've just joined us, with our camera at Unley, is being very delicately cared for or cautiously cared for by the trainers. A huge head clash with Ben Kane. Now back here, Salter's got himself in a little bit of bother. Appleton came across, helped out. Thompson, that was high against Burse. If you didn't see the first replay, here we go. So Kane going in low, Symes both eyes for the ball, and crunch, just head on head, and that, well, it's just part of footy, and let's just hope both players bounce back okay. I haven't seen how Kane is, but back here again, tackle laid, will have another ball up at true centre half forward for the Bloods.
We do suspect from the angles that they were going in, it was the hard forehead of Kane. and it was just probably onto the temple of poor Brad Symes, who we're watching there being taken off on the stretcher at the Unley Oval, puts his place in the side in doubt for next week when they will play the elimination final against North Adelaide Central District. So Eagles working sideways. Heath with the mistake, his ball smothered. Rankin did pretty well, didn't have a lot of support around him. Great hand pass found Bricknell, and now they're out and away through Favretto. He goes across the ground, bit of space for them out there. Back through the corridor. The kick was pretty ordinary coming there from Anderson, and as a result his ball is picked off and the Eagles can go forward again. Ainger on a long lead, all to no avail as the ball switched to this side to Sumner, and Sumner, he's got a lead option in Staple, who came a long way down the ground, well roved by Goldsworthy. He'll be content for this ball to go out inside the forward 50. It's not going to get there. Might be a collision coming here. No, good Shepherd, and Thompson was able to pick up the ball, and so away come Westies again.
Kick to centre wing, Keogh the target, got hands up well. Moran playing the little man role, had numbers in the middle. He grubbers the ball there. Now Dykesman, the debutant, gets it forward. Hartlett gets a free kick.
Yeah, he just gets a bit worried, old Lukey Thompson, when he gets found one out in that forward 50 and uses his hands. He didn't really need to do that then. He just had to keep Adam Hartlett in front of him, and nothing would have happened from that.
He had him under check.
Yeah, he just panicked a little bit. He does it a little bit.
Hartlett, based on his last kick, could reach this with a 8-iron chip.
No doubt. Must run in the family, the old booming kick.
Indeed. Hamish, his brother, part of that huge win last night for the Power in the AFL. This kick is an absolute rocket. Bang into the back fence. 60 metres easy.
Yeah, it's a great finish by Adam Hartlett. It's a great asset to have. It's probably a bit of a shame that West Adelaide don't have two of him, because he forever plugging up holes wherever Westies need him, and he's gone forward and giving him a bit of a target up forward. Both times it goes to Adam Hartlett, he looks really dangerous, and look at that, it's a fantastic kick from outside 50.
Kurt Thompson got a nasty knock just before three-quarter time. He's gone into attack, more or less to rest at the moment.
Yeah, looks like he's enjoying it too.
64 the margin. Nelson out of the middle and sliding in, taking the mark nicely, Phil Raymond. The match travelled, Phil Raymond. Through Port Melbourne, St Kilda, Geelong. Now Batley. Wide he goes. Goldsworthy. Inside 50, low and hard with the kick. Looking for Ainger. He'll get a free kick. Or there's one off the ball instead as well. Well, Ainger got one in the back, and he'll get the advantage down the ground for Allman being bowled over off the ball.
Yeah, it was not much in there where the game's at. I don't think there was much in that. Don't know why an umpire would pay that, but maybe they've got money on Ainger to win the Ken Farmer.
Michael Hankey's had Mad Monday. He's relaxing at home and he's thinking,
he might be getting a little bit worried, I reckon. This is for number 7, isn't it?
Okay, so Andrew Ainger lining up for his 7th of the afternoon, which would be a season's best for him. And then we'll slip across to Unley after this as Ainger comes in, kicks truly. So a season's best for Andrew Ainger as the 70-point margin returns for the Eagles. Let's go across to the Unley Oval. Jared Cotton, a nasty incident with Brad Symes.
Brad Symes off the ground now on a stretcher, which doesn't look good for Centrals, but on the flip side of that, they've played some fantastic football in the first 14 minutes here of this quarter, and they've now hit the front and they're up by 8 points. So they've just gone bang, 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 and Sturt just can't get their hands on the footy at all.
So cameras everywhere for ABC today, all 3 grounds, and Central's making a charge. They'll take that form into the elimination final, and they'll play North Adelaide. With the result here, meaning that the Eagles will secure 2nd spot, and the Bloods will drop to 3rd. They'll play again in the qualifying final. This footy held up. The main interest here is Ken Ranger, who kicked 4 goals in 16 minutes, and Ty Michael Wunkey for the Ken Farmer.
The way it's going at the moment, he could do anything at the moment. He had a really great day, and I wouldn't put it past him.
We've called it from a long way out. So Powell gets a kick. Kane did well to feed the handball to Goldsworthy, who had space. Another handball back for Heath. Von Berto's hands low down were great. Kane inside, just missing Powell. Powell did well to get a glove to it. Now he's going to be tackled, tries to free the arms, gets it out. Salter, here's a thumping kick, Salter. He goes long. That's a wonderful kick.
Probably Andrew Angel's only danger is if Nick Salter starts getting the ball in his hands, because he'll be putting him over his head all day, I think. It's a great finish by Nick Salter. You know, the kick inside just missed Luke Powell, but he did great to get the ball back out. And Nick Salter's a quality player. Probably haven't seen the best of him. You know, cruel injuries throughout his career, and you can just see the talent that he's got. Banged that off a step from 50 metres.
Into the breeze.
Finish. Yeah, into the wind. Great
Always
finish.
had a powerful kick, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's a fantastic player. I'm a bit surprised. I thought he could have really made it at AFL level.
Corey Ogilvie, who is on stats and who has frantically got so much to do, including the ladder at the end of this match, which we'll bring you. I might just get him to look it up in a moment to see how this rates in terms of the scores the Eagles have kicked all season. Have to be close to their highest score. Thompson with the defensive mark goes wide for Sumner. Through the corridor he's got Powell. Powell can run or give it, and he decides to give it to the pace of Raymond. Raymond drops it in short. Wasn't the best alternative. I'm not sure if he actually meant it. And Kirk did pretty well just to hold it up for a moment. Salter, well, he got held up. Umpire called play on. Hall gave it off to Von Berto. Gave it off to Powell. And the veteran went in hard as usual, and still it comes back to Von Berto. He looks for Ainger. That time the ball was knocked away from him, but his recovery was okay. Goes to ground, ball in hand. Umpire will call for it.
I think he's trying to umpire the game now as well, old Andrew Angel.
I reckon he got a high one there.
Called for it too high as well.
He needs 4 more in a hurry to tie Michael Wonke on 52 goals for the Ken Farmer. Very unlikely, you'd think. Kane's hooking ball. Staple was the target. Angel elected not to fly. He looked a bit proppy as he came down. Now tackle here is laid by Sumner in the back. So free kick will go to Dykesman, the youngster, and 50 or 25 it'll be.
I'll take a bit of Corey's thunder. The Eagles are only 21 points off their highest score ever against West Adelaide at the moment.
Thanks. We'll get back to scores. I know Corey, they kicked a huge score against South earlier in the year. 100-plus point win at Noarlunga.
Yeah, good one. 23-19, 157.
There you go. So ball on centre wing.
Luke Jarrett's coming off that slow. I think he wants a camera on him, boys. He's got a bit of blood on the eye.
Yeah.
Let's let everyone know about it. Got to come off with the blood rule.
He was bleeding pretty heavily there as he came off, Jared. So Bricknell's got this footy.
So, boys, they scored 157 twice this year, once against South and once against Glenelg.
Thanks, Corey. They have been... Bricknell's going to be run down here. Didn't know Salter was coming. Have been a high-scoring team, the Eagles. They're averaging about 2 goals more a game than they did last year. Ainge has been one of the reasons. This time it'll find Staple, who has come back into the side and kicked some goals. Now, that is another injury. These coaches will be not enjoying this. That looks like Daniel Kerr limping.
Anderson.
No, it's Anderson.
Yeah, the Eagles are doing as they like now, as they please. The sting's gone right out of the game. It's basically junk time at the moment, I think. But Lee Staples going back for his 5th. It'll be a good kick into this breeze, although it's died down a little bit.
So he hasn't kicked one to this end. He's kicked 4 to the other end. From 48 metres, deliberate run-up. Won't get there. Big fly came from Kirk. Didn't affect it. So through for a point. And let's get out to Norwood Oval with Benny Knights.
Thanks, Kimbo. Well, Norwood's still in control of this game, but another bit of breaking news, I guess, on the injury front. Mark Evans, who's been absolutely dynamic for Norwood all year, he's kicked 33 goals going to this game, and he's kicked 2 in this last quarter, 2 goals too, actually. And he's gone down in a marking attempt and rolled what looks like his left ankle, but he's gone to stand up, hasn't been able to do so. He's unfortunately been stretchered off. You can see him leaving the arena at the moment. So the game has been paused for the last minute or so. Mark Evans looks so dangerous all day. He's been a revelation for Norwood, but he looks as though he may have sustained a pretty serious ankle injury, something to keep an eye on.
Thanks for that, Benny Knights. So both the Norwood and the Unley games are going to finish later, as it turns out, than this match because of those stretches in the last quarter. who've just joined us again. Brad Symes with a head clash going down at Unley, and a 5 or 6 minute delay while they got him off the ground. And clearly there, Mark Evans, similar situation at the Norwood match there against North Adelaide. So we'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening as best we can, but we might not even get a final score the rate we're going at those two matches. Right here, it's the Eagles well in control.
And that would be a tragedy, wouldn't it, if Mark Evans missed some finals. He's had such a breakout season, leading their goal kicking. Saw Kieran McGuinness go up and comfort him. He knows about missing finals, but we'll wait and see with Evans. Batley's handball here was a great one to free Stewart, who bought Lewis some time. This kick for Ormond. Beautiful stuff. 60 from goal. Raymond is a powerful kick. He elects to chip this for Staple on the lead. Lee Staple gets another crack at number 5. Ainger's got 7, so 11 between the big forwards.
Yeah, look, they're hard to contain, Staple and Ainger. They're big moving targets, really hard to match up on. He's had a great game today, Lee Staple. He really works hard and hard to match up on.
Had his injuries troubles this year.
Could have quite easily kicked 7 or 8. He missed a couple of sitters in the first quarter as well.
He did. He comes in, always a very purposeful run-up. Again, an ordinary kick. In fact, an even worse result, so out of bounds on the full. Matters little to the result here. The Eagles, 78-point leaders, and these sides to play again in the qualifying final at Amy next week.
It's shaped as a really interesting afternoon that really was put to bed by the Eagles probably by half-time when they led by 29 points. Didn't look like getting beaten after that. Westies, meanwhile, get it into their half-forward line with Hartlett. He wants to kick it long. He decides to drop it short. Burse running hard down the outer wing to make an option for Slattery. He spotted him. Burse took the mark. Well done. Geez, he worked hard down that outer wing.
He did. It's been a strength of West Adelaide this year. Their spread, especially earlier in the year, their midfielders spread so hard, and Shane Burse is one of those midfielders that runs really hard. He worked his bum off from the half-back flank, and it was a great kick from Slattery to see him working that into the forward 50.
Just a little bit of strapping there for Scotty Lewis as he comes back on. Shane Burse with the shot at goal now. And just chipped at that. I thought he stabbed at the ball and may have actually pushed the ball wide, but instead, a goal for West Adelaide, a belated one. And we'll have another look at the hard work and good awareness from Slattery to find him.
Yeah, it sure was. Look, Adam Hartlett did well initially to lower his eyes and see Slattery pushing back up at him, but it was a great kick in to find Shane Burse. Had to be pinpoint accurate, and he went back and slotted a nice goal from 30 metres.
It's been one of their better players today, Burse. So I feel like we've been on injury watch a bit in this last term. And let's hope at Brad Symes, if you just joined us, has been stretched off at Unley after a really bad head clash with Ben Kane. Let's hope he's okay. And Mark Evans at Norwood, maybe a bad ankle roll, and he was stretched off too. So drama around the grounds. Been drama free really for the Eagles today. They've won this comfortably against a depleted West Adelaide. 7 withdrawals in the West Adelaide side from last week. 4 late withdrawals to gun players, Schmidt and Ferguson among them. Beach. Ormond here taken high by Homburg. Gets the free kick, comes off the side of the boot. It'll bounce in front of Kane and roll on. It's deliberate, the ambitious cry from the crowd.
Yeah, the players are all tired now. The game's sort of fizzling out.
In it comes again. Borholm. He's done a really good job in the ruck. He'll be rejoined by Parry next week, who returns from suspension after doing some umpiring coaching apparently. So Moran, rolling ball, coming through Hartlett. That would have been something special. Still a chance for the Bloods. Batley down low. He can almost gather it and run away, Batley, but he fumbled. Comes to Slattery, high ball, and a good mark, really good mark. Low down by Thompson.
Kim, West Adelaide did the same thing in round 24 against the Eagles last year, and they were vindicated with it by making a grand final.
Indeed, yeah. They lost by about 5 or 6 goals and came back and beat the Dogs the next week.
How wide they go, the Eagles, looking for Hall. He picks the ball up and Hill got him straight away. Umpire will call for it. Chris, just curious about where we are down there with injuries for West Adelaide in terms of numbers on the bench. So Kendall will check that out as Bonnie hooks the ball back, and Slattery with a sliding mark close to the line. 25 around from goal.
They're down to 1 on the bench down there at the moment. They've got a couple down in the rooms. We'll keep a bit of an eye on those rotations, boys.
Daniel Kerr, I assume, is one of them. So, Slattery from wide out.
Aaron Anderson, I reckon, lives down there.
Yep.
Doesn't look like Tucky wants to come back on either.
You look very comfortable.
Yeah.
So, Slattery, who maybe he was put off because as he kicked the ball, his mouth guard, which he'd put in his sock, flew up into the air. So there you go. That's what he's retrieving. Let's go across to Unley. Just check in with Jared Cotton about what's the score there in what is the closest of the games this afternoon. Jared.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Central's really piled on the goals in this last quarter and now 20 points up and playing some really fantastic football. So just what they wanted heading into the finals next week, and obviously with Symes coming off, it looks like it's ramped them up a bit in this last quarter.
Thanks, Jared Cotton, out there at Unley. Back here, Lewis's kick. So Stewart. Ainger has run out of time, so Michael Wunke will be the Ken Farm medalist for a second time down there at Noarlunga in 3 years. That's a good mark for Bornholm. He's had a really good day today. He was beaten pretty badly last week by Sammy Balderstone, and he's recovered really well here today.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him play, Mark Bornholm. I might have played against him, I can't remember, but I've lost some brain cells. But he has. He's really, really impressed me today. He's a strong mark, and he's got a booming kick on him as well. He definitely needed backup for Craig Parry, and you never know, with the Eagles in this type of form, they could do anything in the finals.
He kicked a thumping goal in the first term,
great kick.
And he thumps that one. He does have a powerful kick into the breeze. That one sailed through no problems. And this is a big score. 157 is their highest score of the season. They're not going to be far off that.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that, Kimbo. But you see the class of Paul Stewart. Could have went back and blazed away, even at this late stage. But he waited for something to open up, and a nice, neat kick to a leading Bornholm. He took a really strong mark again. And, he's probably too big for old Bricknell there, but went back and finished it with a great kick into the wind.
Just to refresh your memory, James, he played 10 games for Westies, so maybe that's why he didn't recognise him, different colours.
Maybe.
Out of the middle, good knock by Nelson, straight to Burst, off his non-preferred. Hartland, enjoyed the leap then. Still, he's gone quiet, just quietly, as Hartland dived to the ball. Sumner towed it away towards the boundary line, and there was a push behind play. The shepherd was by Batley, and he got pushed for his troubles, and so as a result he'll get the free kick. Just drops it over the top, and Lewis, we saw coming off the bench with that strapping on his right thigh. It's obviously okay. Only 26 minutes into this final quarter. It'll be a big win for the Eagles, a confidence booster, and they'll go into the qualifying final against the Bloods. At Unley, it sounds like Centrals will get over Sturt. They'll go into the elimination final riding on a confidence high, and they'll go in against North Adelaide, who couldn't be lower after 5 losses in a row, and this afternoon being thumped by the minor premiers Norwood. Ball towards the line. Heath was content to take it over.
Crossy, your roll call downstairs. Aaron Anderson's in the rooms getting looked at that ankle, and Travis Tuck's just been taken off simply to keep him fresh for next week, and Daniel Kerr is the third one.
Okay. A nervous week, making sure those guys are right to play care. Big part of this team. Lewis's handball here. Goldsworthy runs onto it. Kick doesn't get to Bornholm. And Kirku's done some good work chipping back, takes that mark. The kick here, well, it was a poor one. He wanted points and ended up with Goldsworthy, who sees a free man. That's great vision. It won't quite carry to Salter. Handball. And then he missed Lewis. Dykesman. Hill. And they'll clear through a thumping kick from Favretto. Gets all the way past the centre where Moran takes a good mark again. He's got Hartlett streaming forward. He'd have to kick it 55 to get to him. He tries for it, and it just lobs in front of Hartlett, who did really well. He slipped Batley. Should be a goal here. He dishes it off, and still will mark and should go back and kick his fourth.
Yeah, they've just got the Eagles on the counter-attack there, and it's a great mark from Brad Moran. Might still go back and add some, I don't know, respectability to the score, but it won't really count for anything. It's a great win by the Eagles today. It's a bit just outclassed the Bloods today.
So the Eagles have firmed up a qualifying final berth. We knew that for a long time. Michael Still will come in, kick his fourth, his 20th for the season. It's irrelevant to the scoreline. The Eagles have won very, very handsomely. 22 goals, 11, 143 to West Adelaide, 11-6, 72, meaning these sides will clash again next week.
Yeah, look, it's a great precursor to the main event, I suppose, next week. The Eagles come out fired on all cylinders. As Michael Godden mentioned, doesn't take it easy in any game, and the Eagles proved today that they're a worthy opponent of Westies come next week. Westies will be strengthened with the inclusion of Ryan Ferguson, Chris Schmidt, Ben McCready, Jono Beach. It's a who's who of names, SANFL stars, and be a completely different game next week.
So full time at Richmond Oval, 22-11, 143 the Eagles, 11-6, 72 the Bloods.
And one of the better players on the ground for the Eagles, no doubt. A man who started his career at Glenelg in Chris Kane. His brother's playing at Sturt now. They've both left the Bays, but Chris Kane very happy with his performance at Oval Avenue. He's become another one of their key members of their midfield, which is very strong. He had 18 possessions this afternoon. He's with Chris Kendall.
Was busy in a variety of roles too down here, Chris. You've got to be really happy with that one. We know West Adelaide had a few players out, but you can only beat what's there, and you really gave them a shellacking.
No, that's right. Godsey said at the start of the game, they got 21 blokes, we got 21 blokes, and we just had to go out and beat them. And our pressure was fantastic today, but that's just one tick, and next week's a real battle.
When you're coming through the guts, it must be pretty handy to have Angel running in one direction and Staple running in the other direction, ready to lace out.
Yeah, we've got some good forwards at the moment, and the boys are working really well together, and we're just starting to really find some form at the right time of the year.
In the off-season, did you talk about the really slow start you got last season and put yourselves on the back foot and tried to pace your run a bit better this year?
Not really. It was just about doing what we knew was the right thing to do, and it's just play hard contested footy, and I think that's what we're doing. And at the start of last year, we weren't doing that at all, but towards the end we started to do that. But this is the time of year you need to perform, and we're in the right position at the moment.
You certainly are. You'll meet them again next week, but a big win today. Well done, Chris.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
So say it's one of the catch cries now of the modern era, hard contested football. You hear it over and over again.
Yeah, that's because it works, Neil. Look, Eagles, they outclassed the Bloods today, with all the outs for the Westies had, but you've got to go out there and still put it on the ground, and they did that today. They started really well and got off to a flyer, and the Bloods were basically just hanging on, and come the third quarter, Eagles really took the game away and sort of dominated the contest.
Yeah, and it's just, as we talked about, a confidence builder for them. There's no doubt about that. West Adelaide, well, they do have some depth. We have seen it this afternoon, and their depth really has been tested by Andy Collins' clear decision to rest so many of his senior players and freshen them up for the finals next week. It remains to be seen. Like the Dockers did in the AFL, they rested so many players, it worked out all right for them. Will it work all right for the Bloods?
Yeah, no doubt. Look, I think he did it last year as well, Andy Collins, coming into finals, and it worked for them where they beat us last year. They're quality players. They could have up to 9 to 10 inclusions, so it'll be a completely different looking West Adelaide side next week, with a lot of them being midfielders and utility players, which is what they lacked a bit today. So, look, I'm not worried for West Adelaide. Things are looking good for the Eagles, but it should be a great contest next week.
That's right. As mentioned through the call this afternoon, the Eagles have got plenty to take out of that in terms of confidence. 21 points was their lead at quarter time, having kicked with the breeze. They extended it to 29 at half time, to 65 at three-quarter time. They won all 4 quarters. They ended up running away winners by 71 points. Now, Michael Stills put his hand up. He said, yes, I can be a key forward for the Bloods. He's got 4 this afternoon. But Andrew Ainger and Lee Staple, the twin towers, if you like, for the Eagles, very important. And Nick Salter will be the other one who'll be important come Football Park next weekend. So the Eagles celebrate a big win by 71 points. And they would be very happy to next week.
So watch the best club and see what we can do. We're the mighty flying Eagles. We're the mighty flying Eagles. We're the mighty flying Eagles. In gold and green and blue.
So the Eagles finish in the top 5. They've been in the top 5 for 22 of the 23 rounds of the SANFL season. And their coach, Michael Godden, it was a much better season in the minor round this year than last year. He's with Chris Kendall down in the rooms.
He's pretty happy at the moment. He's dodging a few missiles from the boys and doing quite well, I might add. Dual sport. God's pretty happy with that one. I guess, as I said to Coney outside, the opposition we knew was a bit depleted. You can only beat what's there, but the confidence will be great for next week.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I don't think we played that well, to be honest, but yeah, there's plenty to work on, and we're a side that's building, hopefully towards the ultimate goal, which is to obviously win finals. So yeah, big week ahead now to make sure this is where we wanted to be, top 3. We've now got that. We've got to be happy that that's our, with the situation we're in. A lot to work on, and yeah, looking forward to 7 days' time.
Notwithstanding kicking 22 goals, I thought your defensive side was really good. Your tackling pressure in particular and shutting down their run through the midfield was critical.
Yeah, absolutely. The effort was good all day, and as I said, it's hard to know because Westies obviously their mindset. It'd be hard to know what that was. I knew exactly what ours was. We had to win to get top 3. So yeah, but the pressure was good, and our tackling has improved in the second half of the year. And it needs to be good in finals.
And on the edge of finals, really important. The young kids stood up. I thought Batley was really good today, and Von Budo had some really good moments in there also.
Yeah, it was great for those guys that have been around the system for a couple of years, and now they've finally got their crack at league footy, and they're playing the way that they are. It's they're breaking lines, and it's a testament to the junior program that we've got in place, and the guys doing great work down there. Reserves have finished top of the ladder, and the 18s I think are second. So we've got some really good kids, and there's plenty more to come.
It'll be deja vu all over again 7 days time. We'll see you then, Gods.
Yeah, thanks very much. Cheers.
Michael Godden very satisfied with that 71-point victory this afternoon. Well, we got Benny Knights at Norwood Oval, and we've got Jared Cotton at Unley. We're going across to Norwood first up, and Nida, is the game over for a start?
Yes, Crossy, the game is well and truly over here. It was 4 goals apiece in that last quarter, and actually North Adelaide ended up winning the last quarter by a point. So 51 points the difference. Norwood, very, very convincing victors. Their third quarter was outstanding, as I said earlier in the call. 5 goals, 5 to no score, and it wasn't until the 9th minute of that last quarter that Max Thring kicked a goal, the first scoring shot for North Adelaide in that second half. Most of these highlights you'll see dominated by the Norwood goal kickers. There were lots of small goal kickers. Phillips ended up with 4. Mark Evans that is, ended up with 2. A couple of goals from Fuller on ball, but lots of small forwards, dangerous forwards, the likes of Pfeiffer, and we see here Thomas feeding a young man who was super impressive in Dumont today, and that was just one of his many highlights that we saw a second ago. The Norwood running brigade was just outstanding all day. North Adelaide didn't have the ability to match them in that respect. Defensively, both teams quite strong, absolutely, but Norwood across the ground just unbeatable on this home deck. North Adelaide now have lost the last 4 at Norwood to the Redlegs, and they look formidable going into the finals next week. 4 games clear of the second placed Eagles. A really convincing effort across the board. The only concern for Norwood, as we saw in the call, that's Mark Evans. His ankle injury looks a concern. For North Adelaide, Joey Anderson has also hurt a shoulder, so one concern each for this game, but a convincing win. 51 points as we saw there on the scoreboard. Lots of scoring shots to Norwood. They really gave North Adelaide a football lesson today, and they look good going to the finals. Thanks, boys.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nina. Thanks for your time this afternoon. We'll go across to the Unley Oval now, and Jared, similar question, I guess. Match all over, and did Centrals get there?
Yeah, thanks, Crossy. They certainly did. The last quarter was quite amazing, to be honest. Compared to the first 3 quarters, they just slammed on the goals. So a 10-goal quarter to 2 really shows the dominance of the Centrals in the last quarter. They ran the midfield really well, got their hands on the football, And not like the first 3 quarters, they started to use the football going inside forward 50 and finding some targets. A lot smarter around the outside the 50 area and hitting up that short target on the lead, which they weren't doing in the first 3 quarters. So a fantastic effort for the last quarter. Obviously the only thing to worry about is Brad Symes with the head clash, but apart from that, a really excellent last quarter in regards to heading into the finals next week. Goal kickers Ryan Williams ended up with 3 and he was really good through the middle of the ground. Justin Hardy ended up with 3 goals as well. Young Matthew Stent, I think his name is, his first game ended up with 2 goals and showed a little bit for a player playing his first game, like I said. But overall, Roy Led would have been really happy with the last quarter, similar to last week where they just sort of looked like they flicked the switch and went, we can do what we want, and they just dominated the quarter and kicked goal after goal. So a really good effort heading into the finals next week.
And I guess, Jared, that's the thing. We're worried about next week, but it's one of those things with Centrals. They have struggled this season to put 4 quarters together.
Couldn't quite get that, Crossy, but in the end, they just...
Yep, no, we're still with you, Jared.
Quite get you there, Crossy, on that last bit.
Yep, no, that's okay. Thanks for your time this afternoon, and obviously a big win, big boost for Central District out there with a 25-point win over the Double Blues. As Jared said, a huge last quarter from the Doggies. James, that is something that they do so well. They finish on when they have to.
Yeah, look, Centrals haven't been at their best all year, but they do still have the ability to win a game in the blink of an eye, and that 10-goal last quarter, Centrals have been doing that for most of the year, but I'm sure that Roy would be looking for a 4-quarter performance next week. If they can bring that, they're a real good chance to take it up to North Adelaide.
Okay, let's have a look at the ladder, the final ladder after the minor round, and as we see, Norwood leading the way from the Eagles, Westies, Centrals and North. And as we just go around to the boys, we'll start with the boys on the boundary here with Chris Kendall and with Kim Morgan, and it's pretty much, I guess, the way you could have predicted in the end this final round.
Look, I would have thought so, Crossy. I mean, Central District, we knew they were making up a little bit of ground there. I think North Adelaide probably are the real surprise and perhaps a disappointment in some ways. I mean, let's not preempt the result in 7 days' time, Kim, but I think most of us had them finishing top 2, top 3, and their fall from grace has been quite spectacular. This is a big job now for Josh Franco to turn it around.
Yeah, 5 losses in a row. You didn't see it coming, did you, about 5 or 6 weeks ago? That's a horrible form line to take into finals. I think Centrals will start pretty strong favourites out there next week, and yeah, the result here predictable. It may be a different story next week.
Benny Knights at Norwood. Now, you've seen those 2 sides play this afternoon, North Adelaide, Norwood. Norwood obviously have the week off next week. Can North get over Central District in the qualifying final, in the elimination final?
You'd have to think about their form going forward, and what they've shown over the last 5 weeks hasn't proven that they will be able to do that. They will get Lewis Johnston back. I think that would be really important for them. They need an extra focal point up forward, but today they were really dominated on ball and dominated down back by Norwood. So they need to get a lot better than they've shown today. Norwood obviously very good.
Ben, thanks for that. Jared at Unley, you've got 10 seconds to tell me, will Brad Symes make a huge difference?
Brad Symes, well, I don't think he'll be playing next week just based on how he was coming off the ground. But Central's, based on their last quarter, they were fantastic.
Thanks for that. Thanks, boys. And we'll be all together at Footy Park next weekend for the elimination final and the qualifying final. Thanks to James, who's been here all afternoon patiently waiting for me.
Tuesday, 8:30. The planet's biggest puzzle pieced together like never before.
It takes us back right to the birth of the very first continent.